Hello, hello. I don't know what happened to my intro. Let me see. Let me see if I can do this one here. No? What happened to my intro here? There we go. That's it. My sorry that my Damon intro was not all set up. I don't know what happened here. But we are back. We are back. How is everyone doing? I know some people might be still finishing up the episode, so we can talk about some other things before that. I know. I don't know what happened to the intro. I had it all set up and logged in my eCam, and for some reason it wasn't working today. And then I grabbed my old intro and threw it in. But yeah, let's. The It's still ending, so I just finished, but that was some episode. I mean, overview. I would say it's a lot of political finagling, a lot of intrigue, a lot of good acting. The Really interesting take on the source material on I think my reading of Fire and Blood was pretty close to what they put on screen, actually, um, with regards to Damon, Criston, and Rhaenyra. That was more or less my guess. But the but yeah, just you can see my mind is kind of going on how on the whole thing. But I mean, obviously, I think for a casual, they would see this episode as slower. But I really liked it. I think episode 4 might be my favorite, just because we've got so many little ins and outs, and the characters were actually acting um, somewhat logical, and I liked all of the interesting take on Fire and Blood and how they handled it. Um, they really took their time with each scene, and allowing everyone to emote. Um, so yeah, it was kind of interesting, kind of interesting. Yeah, I know some people were a lot of people were upset with me for not really liking episode 3, but let's see. Congratulations on the new little one, Preston. Thank you very much. The little guy is doing fine. Right now, he seems like he's going to be a lot calmer than my first. My first is he is balls to the wall little boy, and he is a little. It was always a squirmer and doesn't ever want to sleep, and is just off the wall and loud and adventurous and everything. Um, and so this new one, he's a lot more calm, even though it's been less than a week, but you can kind of already tell um, somebody's personality. Um, but those tapestries, that's good. That's a good shout out to some tapestries, because Ice and Fire. They we've got some we've got some tapestry love. So, but Preston, have you heard the Holloway's division theory that Nettles was a glamored children of the forest? Leaf said she journeyed to Westeros during the time of the dragon. Um, I'd never heard that before. It's not something I really thought about. A glamored child of the forest. I mean, anything's possible, but I kind of think that what's neat about Nettles is that she's just a regular girl, and that she has no Targaryen abilities. Like, some people say, even though, like, she is declared as also being a dragon seed, and therefore like the child of some Valarian or some Targaryen. I always kind of take Nettles as she has no abilities. She's just a regular girl, and in fact, she doesn't have any Valyrian blood in her at all. She was just clever, and she used sheep to make the dragon docile so she could ride them. That she is the real deal. That she is like super courageous and super clever and able to do something that no one else was able to do. I kind of think it takes away from her character if she's somebody special. Like, I kind of love the fact that she's just an average little bastard girl, you know? So that's kind of my thing about her. It would disappoint me if she actually had Valyrian blood, and it would disappoint me if she were a child of the forest or something like that. It would just I just want her to be a random, you know. Um let's see. F for Bracken. That the what was it a Baratheon who ended up dying, or why was he wearing a I have to check the scene again, but was he wearing a Bracken? I guess I saw I thought it was a stag. Maybe it is a horse. Maybe it is a Bracken. If it is a Bracken, it makes more sense. But yeah, Blackwood's 1, Bracken's 0. Because it's like dark and I wasn't really paying attention to his sigil. I guess he was a it makes more sense that he's a Bracken than anybody else. So, Viserys grew a set. Yeah, that was really weird. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he starts like putting pieces together. Strangely, he doesn't mention the Aegon thing, which the Aegon thing. So, in Fire and Blood, wanting Viserys to switch his heir to Aegon, like openly and repeatedly, is the thing that gets him exiled. And in this situation, it is the same thing, but that's Rhaenyra's reason. And then when Viserys goes and talks to him, he essentially does the whole "you set up me with Alicent," and then he kind of accuses him of killing his dad, which that's completely not from that is not from the source material. Balon was not heir for 5 days. Balon was heir for like 9 years. And I don't think it makes much sense for anyone to be murdering him unless it's like it makes maybe sense if the Valarians murdered him, but why not murder him earlier, and things like this. But 5 days, that's kind of, that was all invented with maybe timeline shifts. But Balon was heir for 9 years before his appendicitis. I tend to not think he was murdered. I tend to think that he actually had an appendicitis. If not, then he would be killed by the Valarian faction, but Rhaenys supporters. But it didn't get him very much. And if you're gonna kill the dude, like, I think kill him earlier or later. What was Mushroom in the episode 5 trailer? I haven't watched the episode 5 trailer yet, but yeah. Oh man, yeah. I think Mushroom. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I'll have to watch the trailer and check that out. Maybe we can get excited about that. Alicent doesn't enjoy sex. Would you? I mean, that's a fucking great scene. I chuckled at that quite a bit. It's funny because a lot of viewers, because I have to say, like, how they portray Alicent and Viserys episode to episode is a little up and down. I'm fine with the portrayal because relationships can be viewed differently day to day. but I do think it's rather funny that uh, there's a scene where in the second episode where Alicent is spending time with Viserys, and she says something like you put people at ease or something, or you have such a the way you speak, and I really enjoy the conversations. And then she fidgets with her fingers, which was established in the first episode as something she does with when she's like nervous and like um and so I took that scene as she was lying. She's not at ease with Viserys. She doesn't really like talking to him because she's still fidgeting. Other people looked at it and said, well, her fingers are not as bloody, so maybe she's relaxed a little bit. So I could see that, or maybe it's just ambiguous. Strangely, they've dropped her finger thing for episode 3 and 4. It'll probably be back, but we don't know what her fingers look like these days. And so but when I watched the scene, I took it as like, she's just a big liar, and she doesn't really want to be married to Viserys. And then some people say, well, I watched some like interviews with the actress, and she says that she loves Viserys like platonically, and she seems okay. A lot of people like the actor that plays Viserys, and so they feel that she must like him as well to some degree. And then I think this episode really kind of like went the other way and said, well, she's actually quite unhappy that she's been made into a baby maker. She doesn't really enjoy the rearing of children, and she's certainly not enjoying her sex life. So what has she achieved but a life of just being like, a pawn of House Hightower and such. So which is kind of how I always saw the character, but they really hammered it home in this episode a bit. Is Mysaria in line with Otto? The little bird seems to have worked with her and Otto. Yeah. So I think there's two ways to take the episode. I think you're well, no. They clearly said when the little bird came in that it was Mysaria's. I thought they were going to leave it ambiguous because Rhaenyra ran into Harwin Strong. I thought then we'd be able to be like, oh, who actually informed? But we're actually just clearly told that it was Mysaria. So it is quite a turn that Mysaria is a creature of Otto. That's quite a twist and quite a change, because in Fire and Blood I would have read the material as Harwin Strong was the one at the brothel who informed on the Air for a Day incident. But now they've removed Harwin Strong, and so now it seems like it was Mysaria. And she was the one goading him into that speech in the Air for a Day incident. So I think the show has gone 100% Mysaria is working for Otto, which plays into some weird things later. Because is Mysaria involved with Blood and Cheese? I'm trying to remember the later stuff. But it's quite an interesting twist that Mysaria, because now it's like Mysaria and everything she was doing and her manipulation of Daemon is all Otto's doing. And now you're like, oh, Otto is the freaking master planner of fucking everything. Let's see here. She lost a child during the Dance of the Dragons, desired revenge. So Pale Stranger is the go-between. She hires Blood and Cheese. Yeah. So certainly in Fire and Blood, there was an implication. Again, it's a biased source, but there was an implication that Mysaria hired Blood and Cheese. Blood and Cheese. I think Cheese is Laurie Strong. We're not sure, but I do. I think this, but it's an interesting idea that Mysaria would be working for Otto. That is quite a shift. Did she have a different accent? I think it was still the French thing, but she went a little lighter on it. But felt bad for Otto this episode. He does pull off the sympathy thing. I mean, what's funny is it's like it's kind of like Cersei with her walk of shame. Like Cersei is guilty of a lot of things, but her walk of shame was about stuff that she shouldn't have been like. She's punished for something inappropriately during her walk of shame, even though she's guilty of all this other shit. So it's an odd it's an odd thing. It's like OJ, getting off for murder, but then well, I mean, he did his later crimes, but like, but you can kind of tell that like all the harassment through life like drove him to like like stealing his memorabilia back, and that's the thing that like puts him in jail. Otto, he like gets blamed for killing Balon when really like the things he's guilty of are are I guess he did put his daughter in front of Viserys. He did get accused of that, but it's really the wanting to switch the heirs kind of thing. But yeah, so he's guilty of some things, but like is overall, should he have been removed as hand? Yeah, he's not looking out for Viserys' best interest. Um, he clearly has the Hightower agenda of at least wanting to switch the heirs. Though, if Otto is Mysaria's like master, as they seem to have this, and they keep in the blood and cheese, then Otto really is like trying to destroy the Targaryen family by having them kill each other rather than just putting his own heir on the throne. Which is more in line with Maester conspiracy. Like he is so dedicated to the cause that he will orchestrate a war involving his own grandchildren and have them die in order to achieve that goal, which is, bonkers dedication. So we shall see. We shall see. I mean, that'd be one thing to like to have Otto Hightower like kill his own grandchildren in the blood and cheese incident in order to like make sure there aren't any dragon riders. Some One Piece YouTubers once or twice a year have a group live stream where they discuss this series theories. Game of Thrones YouTubers should hold a council of season 1 after House of the Dragon ends. Glitus could moderate. Too many different personalities. I mean, certain YouTubers agree, like get along with certain YouTubers, but I don't think there's any all-out wars. But I think that there's some difficulty in some YouTubers like collaborating or sitting together, sitting around. There's too many different personalities. What's funny is it's all over like weird like semi-personal shit. Like most of us like all love the books. We all have kind of similar political leanings. It's all like weird personal shit that like I wouldn't say there's any huge wars, but it's just like some YouTubers just don't get along. There's a few out there. I totally sympathize with Alicent now. Yeah, definitely. And so as I thought they would, they removed the Criston Cole rumor from Alicent's mouth. So when I read Fire and Blood, so the problem is that like there's been a bunch of retconning, but so originally in Ice and Fire, Rhaenyra and Criston Cole were lovers before he was a Kingsguard. And that was just a stated known fact. Okay. So, of course, we get to Fire and Blood and Criston Cole is made a Kingsguard much earlier. So I think he becomes a Kingsguard when Rhaenyra is like 7 or 8 years old. So the romance is, hopefully the romance is not there before he became a Kingsguard. And then they made the romance between Criston Cole. All of the sources claim that there was no romance between Criston Cole, that it was either one made a move on the other or the other made a move on the one. And there was a rejection kind of situation, that it was unrequited. So we have this like retcon. So originally there was a romance, and then the reports are that either Rhaenyra made the move on Criston Cole and he rejected her, or Criston Cole made the move on Rhaenyra and she rejected him. And so I that always seemed kind of suspicious. And so when the Daemon rumor came about, but I was like, at the same time, if there was an actual proven rumor that Criston Cole was sleeping with Rhaenyra, he'd be executed. He wouldn't be promoted to Lord Commander within a few years. So no one at court must have realistically actually thought that there was a romance between Rhaenyra and Criston Cole, which is difficult because it contradicts A Song of Ice and Fire, where everyone, so it's these retcons. So how they handled it here in the show is how I kind of thought it happened. I thought that, yes, Rhaenyra and Criston Cole slept together, and Daemon thought that this would be a great opportunity to try to steal Rhaenyra away and claim that he's the one that took her maidenhead. Like, I imagine there'd be some like in Ice and Fire, where they examine Marjorie, that they examined Rhaenyra and she had a broken hymen, because lots of women have broken hymens just because, the whole thing, people talk about like horse riding and dragon riding. It doesn't matter. Or just women break them. Come on. She has a broken hymen. Well, what's the explanation? And that Daemon actually, in a sense, saved Criston Cole by taking the blame. Here, especially with the moon tea, like, she's drinking that moon tea and people are just going to assume it's Daemon and not Criston Cole. So they kind of went the same route of what I kind of thought happened in between the lines. The writers interpreted it more or less how I interpreted it. They added a little more romance between Rhaenyra and Daemon than I would have thought, like her going off and making out and being almost willing to have sex, though they have some sort of weird emotional like breakdown, and then they don't. But I think they handled the show does different stuff with the source material's ambiguity. They either keep it ambiguous themselves, or they kind of go halfway, or on certain ways. So they went halfway on the Daemon. They went full on the Criston, and then they used it as, oh, this is a clever way for me to steal Rhaenyra away, which is it was really good. It was really good interpretation and portrayal of the source material. I think it was masterful. They really Cinemaxed that scene, man. It went on and on. I was like, whoa, am I watching HBO or am I watching Cinemax? How would the Maester conspiracy plotline end in the main series? Old Town destroyed, Marwyn successful, Old Town and Hightowers losing power to Bran. I don't think it will necessarily be even. I mean, it's definitely we definitely need like a Hightower. House Hightower is definitely going to be doing things, but the thing is it's kind of like the phrase, like there's so many Maesters, you can't kill them all, so you can't really end the conspiracy. I think the conspiracy kind of stops like once all the dragons die again, right? Like, the conspiracy becomes useless once dragons and Targaryens are all dead, which is what happens in the show. Like, like even if they were going to get a conspiracy together again to get rid of, Daenerys and the dragons, well, they're gone. Drogon flew off and Daenerys died, so there's no more need for any conspiracy. I guess that's how I see it kind of ending in a whimper. Like the need to have a conspiracy goes away, but I think there'll definitely be some sort of conspiracy stuff with Hightower. I mean, if Winds of Winter would ever come out, I mean, it's definitely part of Sweet Robin's Winds of Winter. Alicent confronting Rhaenyra made me mad. I was really surprised that they reconciled the girls in this episode. right? Because you see their relationship diverging, and then all of a sudden they're like back. Oh, they're okay again. Um, and so I thought that was it was there to give them screen time. It was there to have a conversation between them. It wasn't really necessary. Like her warning Rhaenyra and having her opinion influence Viserys wasn't completely necessary, but I think it was kind of like last episode how Alicent is the one really calling the shots. Like she's the one that's really giving the direction. Um, I mean, we see in that those early episodes, she is Otto Hightower's tool, and then last episode, he specifically tells her to talk to Viserys about switching the heir, and she doesn't do it. Meanwhile, she tells him to like intervene in the stepstones and think about what's good for the realm and things like that. And in this episode, it's like Alicent's opinion. It's Alicent vouching for Rhaenyra, um, somewhat improperly. I mean, Rhaenyra put a lot of lies in her story. Um, you know, she did not tell the whole truth. So and so she was able to lie to Alicent and have Alicent believe her, and Alicent stuck up for her. I don't know if her father necessarily believed it because he sent her the moon tea in the end, right? So yeah, uh, the Rhaenyra scenes were boring. I mean, I do think the episode was slower. It was definitely a slower pace episode. I think a lot of people are going to think it was slow. I thought it was interesting. I just kept laughing. I kept laughing because King's Landing is so fucking exciting. There's so much stuff going on in King's Landing. Um, the thing is, when you actually go to impoverished places, and this is the Middle Ages, and people are impoverished, and especially King's Landing and Flea Bottom. When you actually go to like impoverished places, one thing that people don't expect is the fact that they're really boring places. Like people don't have the money to do anything. They don't have free time. They're working all day, like trying to scrape out a living. So they don't really have like free time for arts and entertainment and like training in arts and entertainment. And they don't have coin to go out and spend on this kind of extra stuff. So um, it's amazing there's like this circus going on like in downtown Flea Bottom, which I think is kind of funny. But the but nonetheless, I don't know, it was all right for me. It was fine. I you know I mean, I'm trying to think of like the boring sex scenes, like is the brothel, like going back to the brothel and having these like orgy scenes, like it's fine. I mean, I guess they're not that exciting or titillating anymore. When we've seen them a million times. I guess as a society we're all ruined by the internet. But I don't know. I mean, the Rhaenyra Criston Cole scene was pretty sexy though. You um, I think that she and Damon planned it. Damon wasn't surprised that Viserys knew. Interesting. Oh, so this is the idea that oh that Damon knows that Mysaria is Otto's creature, and that he purposely like allowed Mysaria to give the information to Otto so that he could then use the information to try to steal Rhaenyra away. And actually, like that was the whole point of Daemon bringing her out, is that he wanted her to be seen at that brothel, so that he wanted. Um, that's crafty. I mean, when he woke up drunk and was like surprised to see Mysaria, and like hear about Myssaria's life, would kind of go against at least the whole point of him bringing her out was for that reason. I suppose like maybe once he woke up in his location with the hangover and went to see Mysaria, he was like, "Hey, I got a plan. Let's do this." Um, there's little thing, a few things, because now she said. So now the timeline's a little screwed up because Mysaria said that she uh, has moved beyond being a madam, and the implication is that she's making money as a informant, but she was clearly the informant now retroactively for Air for a Day. I mean, you can do two jobs at once, but I wonder what other things she's informing on for Otto that would earn her so much money. That Damon knew about it. Maybe. I mean, I see it. It works to his advantage. It works to Otto's advantage. It's in both of their interests. So, um, oh, this is later. Mysaria later gets Damon killed by lying about Nettles and Damon having an affair. That's kind of true. That's kind of true. And Fire and Blood, they all play it up as like spurned people. Um, but let's see. Yeah, because it's Mysaria that informs Rhaenyra of of yeah, it's Mysaria that informs Rhaenyra of Daemon sleeping with Nettles. Yeah, so that is an example of Mysaria playing both sides. And Mysaria playing both sides implies that she's in on the Maester conspiracy. She doesn't necessarily have to be Otto's creature. She could be the Maester's creature. She could be Otto's creature. Because now, if we're a little squeamish about Otto Hightower sending his own grandchildren in to be killed, it could be that he's just not high enough in the conspiracy and that he takes orders, and Mysaria is the one who's even more in tune with Old Town. That's these are some interesting things to think about. Yeah, no, I guess I kind of like them introducing Mysaria playing both sides this early. Mysaria being now, I never really thought about Mysaria being the informant for Air for a Day, but now if you put it that way, that if we look all the way into the Dance of the Dragons, that she works against Daemon by informing on him, that Mysaria was playing both sides, and that she could have been the informant for Air for a Day way back, and not the implication they give at the time is that it's Harwin Strong, because they say, but it's that it's Mysaria the whole time that informed. Hmm. That's an interesting rub. Interesting rub. I like that. Okay. Just finished the episode. Do you think they're doing the Old Town conspiracy, especially with the last two scenes? I think they are definitely doing the Old Town conspiracy. I think they are. I would say, I mean, 100. My 100%. I'm 90% sure they're doing Old Town conspiracy. 90% sure. Yeah, just because. I mean, we saw that Melos was in on things with Hightower, but so they're clearly, and they introduced House Hightower as defenders of the Citadel, and they wouldn't have done that if it weren't going to be playing a role. And clearly, like, Melos was doing things in tandem with Otto. So yeah, there's definitely Old Town conspiracy kind of stuff. Now, with the Moon Tea, that's very interesting, because the implication was that the Moon Tea was sent by her father, that her father had figured it out and was like, fuck it, here's your Moon Tea. But now you could think about it as he truly believed Alicent, that Rhaenyra did not have sex with anybody, but that the Maesters knew, because, well, one, there's spies everywhere, but also Criston Cole could be compromised, because we know that Criston Cole also plays both sides. So it may be that Criston Cole is in on the conspiracy too. But or I mean, the Maester could have found out about stuff through spies or whatever. But nonetheless, the yeah, that tea at the end being given by Melos could be just part of the conspiracy. Maybe Viserys didn't send it at all. I'm liking this episode more and more now that like all these little maybes and ambiguities have been introduced. Yeah, this is a good episode. Congrats on the kid, Preston, and Mrs. Jacobs. Well, she kept her surname, so but nonetheless, thank you. You now have secured the proverbial heir and a spare. Question of succession was never in doubt. That's true. That's true. Though, I guess we don't. Unlike feudalism, we divide our estates usually now amongst children rather than all going to the eldest. But nonetheless, thank you. It is funny how often I get mail or thank you cards for like Mr. and Mrs. Jacobs and things like that, or stuff with my wife's name like attached with Jacobs on the end. But no, she kept her maiden name. So I'm way behind on stuff. Thoughts of doing a stream with Can't Use. Noticed he was the originator of the idea that Jaqen H'ghar, hired to assassinate Bloodraven, could talk about North and the Iron Bank. I've read all of Can't Use's stuff, and him being the originator of that idea is news to me. I thought I came up with that on my own. I don't know if Can't Use has done anything in many years. So I'm always up to talking to him, but I haven't seen him doing anything in the community for many years. But yeah, I thought I came up with Jaqen H'ghar being hired to assassinate Bloodraven. It was I didn't know Can't Use had come to the same conclusion. Criston should confess his failures as a Kingsguard and take the black. Well, maybe he confessed it to a Maester, or something. The thing is like him being called into the bedchamber. Anyone could walk by Rhaenyra's door and see that he wasn't there. And I mean, we do already know that there's passages all through the Red Keep, so there's spies anywhere. I mean, the idea. I mean, if Larry Strong is living there, and I think he is because we saw him at the hunt. Larry Strong should be in the walls, right? If he's the Varys parallel, and if he's, or at least Cheese. I mean, maybe I think Cheese and Larry Strong are the same person, but Cheese is the rat catcher. He knows he's in the walls. Larry Strong could be in the walls. They could be the same person, or they could just walk by her chambers and see that Criston Cole was not there. So it's not too difficult to figure out that Rhaenyra was sleeping with Criston Cole. Sir Otto Hightower called her a whore to erase suspicion. I think so. The Lemon character lifting baby Lemon in the air to congratulate him. I'm not quite sure. Does this have to do with Lemongate? I'm not sure. Not sure about this. Lionel Strong's proud men don't like to look up. He did so again in episode 3. Now his son knows of Rhaenyra's adventures. He spread the Strong's rumor. Certainly in Fire and Blood, it's heavily implied that the Strongs are the ones who are like spying and doing things, and I would say it's pretty strong evidence that they're in on the Maester conspiracy. They're the Lords of Harrenhal, so they're going to be hosting the frickin' Council of 101. 2, the Air for a Day episode incident is reported by a gold cloak sergeant. The only gold cloak sergeant we know is Harwin Strong, who is introduced like 2 paragraphs earlier. And then Laris at the time is a confessor, meaning he's torturing people and getting information. And so, people are giving him information. And then he's later promoted to Master of Whisperers. And so to get a promotion, you'd think you did something valuable. And so I think Fire and Blood implies that either Harwin or Laris or both of them brought the information on Air for a Day. Here in the show, it's pretty. I think we were given no information that it's from the Strongs. Meanwhile, we find out in this episode that Mysaria is Otto Hightower's creature, or at least has been giving information to Otto Hightower. He might be, she might be the Maester's creatures. I gotta get some water. Hold on a second. Okay. Sorry, I should have been prepared. But yeah, the when they had that scene of Rhaenyra running into Harwin, I definitely thought that that was going to be an issue. But then it's the White Worm that brings the information in. So it might be that he had the information for some other strong plot. I mean, if there is a strong plot, it's more subtle than it is in Fire and Blood, even, because right now Lionel looks like he's straight up for reconciliation. So let's see here. Falling behind here. Does David need Viagra? I mean, we know that we've seen him. Well, I guess no. Now we're about to say that, like, we now have like 2 scenes with Daemon where he's with supermodel hot women, where he's kind of just been like, whatever, and like gone off. So one, he's like in the middle of having sex with Mysaria and then like goes over to the window to like pout. And then in this, he's got, Rhaenyra up against a wall and then like walks away. I think it might be a coincidence. I mean, it's funny if he were, has dysfunction, erectile dysfunction problems, but he is able to father children later that we don't really dispute are his. So he can at least get it up somewhat. He starts having sex with Mysaria. He's having sex and then stops. But yeah, it's funny that he walks away from sex with supermodels twice. But yeah, I think they're just kind of implying that he's got weird conflicted feelings about different stuff. That if he's really playing the long game, he's got to really, keep that. I don't know if he's really playing the long game, because it's just like, I mean, he at this moment in time he can't marry Rhaenyra because he's married, but then he gets married again, while she's married, and so it takes a long time before he actually is able to get married to Rhaenyra, and it would involve like him killing off his own wife, like Rhea Royce, killing off Lena, killing off Laenor. Like it would involve a lot of assassinations, and like decades worth of planning in order for it to. So I think he's just doing random shit. I think just the Rogue Prince is just random, and that he's conflicted dude, and he just didn't feel like, you know, taking advantage of Rhaenyra at that moment or something. I don't know, something. Yeah, are we actually sure that her father sent Moon Tea though? No, I guess now that we've been introduced to the idea that it's the Maester conspiracy might have sent it. Um, because if the Maester conspiracy is all about keeping both sides kind of equally powerful until so that they can fight, um, having Rhaenyra be pregnant ruins her chances at being heir. It immediately goes to Aegon, and then there's no conflict anymore. Um, I mean, you could still manufacture one later with House Velaryon, um, but yeah, it would be a tough situation. So I think they've, if their whole plan is succession crisis, have that battle. I suppose it'd be their best interest to give her the Moon Tea and hide the fact that she's like been having sex. Um, do you think the Faceless Men will align with the Faith and Dorne to destroy Targaryen power of dragons in the Winds of Winter or Dream of Spring? No, no. I think the Faceless Men are. My personal belief is that the Faceless Men have been hired by the Aegon faction, and that I don't think they have, despite people's like beliefs about a big Faceless Man conspiracy to destroy all life or something. The I think they've just been simply hired. And so and this is completely based on like coins, So like when Arya is at the House of Black and White, she finds a coin in somebody's pocket as a gift, and she can't recognize the king on the coin. And at the same time, Pate in Old Town gets a coin and doesn't really know the king on it either. And this is a callback to the Mystery Night, where Dunk gets a coin and he can't place the king at first, but then realizes that the king is Daemon Targaryen, or Daemon Blackfire, not Daemon Targaryen, Daemon Blackfire, and realizing that this was Blackfire gold. And so my idea is that, oh my gosh, we've got Blackfire gold at two locations with Faceless Men, one with Jaqen and one at the House of Black and White. And so if they're getting Blackfire gold, it sounds like somebody in the Aegon cause like paid them some money, something related to the Golden Company. So that's my theory. Now, I don't. So I think that like the Faith and Dorne, I think Dorne has its own game. So I think Dorne wants Dornish. I think Dorne wants Dornish restoration. That doesn't necessarily align with the Faith. I think the Faith is just right now. I think the Faith has been hijacked by the High Sparrow. If anything, I mean, if anything with the High Sparrow, it does seem like people have been getting religious dreams, namely Lancel, to be religiously nuts. So we don't know who's sending those dreams, whether it be Bran or a glass candle from Marwyn or whatever. I think for a long time I said that it was part of the Dornish master plan to like to plant this idea of like religious zealotry in people's minds, but it's a bit much even for me. But I would say that, that was my idea, and that Tyene might have a place to like, beside the High Sparrow. So maybe the High Sparrow could have Dornish interests in line, just in the sense that he wants to destroy the realm so that Dorne could rise. But it's a big conspiracy, but we'll see. What's the Maester conspiracy? We got a newbie. Maester conspiracy is the idea that the Maesters have been working for generations to remove dragons and then Targaryens from Westeros for the safety of the realm. And this is implied by Maester Marwyn, who blames the Dance of the Dragons on the Maesters in A Feast for Crows, in Samuel 5, A Feast for Crows. And I think and then the second part about getting rid of the Targaryens is from Lady Dustin, mentioning that the Maesters were involved in creating Southern Ambitions, which is a conspiracy of putting together the Starks, the Tullys, the Aarons, and the Baratheons in order to kick out the Targaryens from Westeros. And so that's what the Maester conspiracy is. I would say that among like big fans, like Maester conspiracy is not. I mean, I think it's not really even disputed very much. Like I think it's more about like the size of it, like how big the Maester conspiracy is. I think most fans like do accept that there, was some degree of Maester conspiracy, especially during the dance. But the degree of like, are they planning everything is what's what's in dispute. In the books, Rhaegar was MIA for about a year when the war kicked off. Of course, he was making a baby, but what else could he be doing in that time? So I don't think too much about Robert's Rebellion's timeline. Is one of the dumbest timelines in the world. So like, it's really hard to figure out what any characters were doing for these extended periods of time. Like, like if you were to ask me what was Ned doing for 6 months during Robert's Rebellion, I couldn't tell you because it's apparently nothing. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I mean, people ask me about Robert's Rebellion stuff all the time. Like this aspect of Robert's Rebellion timeline doesn't make sense. Like, what was this character doing for freaking 2 years? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Nothing. Not like, because it's just George just has to make like random events happen with babies getting born at various times, and just none of it lines up. It's a really poorly conceived war. And I'd like to. Some people are like, well, George was juggling like all of these different things from different books, and it's like, no, he messes it up in one speech from Jaime. Jaime spits out the most illogical like timeline of the war in one spewing to Brienne, that all you can say is like, well, he was dying of an infected wound and was sitting in a bath, and he was not in the right state of mind because his description of things is ridiculous. But I think he was just like off at the Tower of Joy. Some people think that he was working on conspiracy to get rid of his dad, which I think is more a year earlier at Harrenhal. But I don't know if he was really out and about. I mean, I think George put in a lot of space so he could retcon stuff if he wanted. Do you think there'll be enough time to introduce Laenor Harwin plot and resolving it in the few episodes we have before the start of the dance? I mean, I think they're going to introduce the idea that Harwin is a possible romance for Rhaenyra. We now have like just 2 small scenes with Harwin. One, him looking at Rhaenyra covered in blood and having a big grin on his face, like, yeah. And then him like having her like catching her in the city and him being like, okay, cool. That's neat. So it seems that he likes her adventurous spirit. Whether she'd be interested in him, we have no evidence of that yet. And so I take a lot of heat, a lot of shit from people saying that like Criston Cole is a possible father for Jace. When everybody is like, Preston, you're fucking insane. It's Harwin Strong. And I was like, we've been introduced to these romances, okay? Criston Cole is definitely a possibility. It was all ambiguous. Realistically, though, would Rhaenyra be dumb enough to not just have Laenor be the father of Jace? I don't know if Rhaenyra would be that dumb. So I kind of, though maybe she slept with Criston at the same time. But keep in mind, Harwin, though, has a broken collarbone when she's fathering Jace. So unless like Harwin's like, oh, I'm just gonna go through this, okay? Rhaenyra on top, and like grint his teeth. I suppose it's possible, but Harwin had a broken collarbone when Jace was fathered. So it leaves, it's either Harwin or Criston Cole or any other man. but I think they're going to introduce. I think they're going to introduce the possibility. I don't think they're. I don't think they're going to have anything explicit with Rhaenyra and Harwin. I think they're going to have like maybe him claiming it or maybe a hint, a cutaway. But I don't think they're going to have Harwin. Maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see. But I always like the idea of Criston Cole being the possible father, because later when Criston like insists that Rhaenyra shouldn't be on the throne because Criston's main argument as kingmaker is we know what comes after Rhaenyra. What comes after Rhaenyra is a bastard. That's the argument he makes to people. And I think it's kind of clever. It's kind of funny and fitting if he's like, if it's his own child, that he actually like disenfranchises his own child in order to bring down Rhaenyra. But maybe he doesn't even realize it's his own child. But I always thought that was more a kind of funnier thing. But we'll see. This might be dumb. Could the Strong's culpability and the Maester plot be part of the bias in Fire and Blood? And the show is telling us, nah, they were cool and give good advice. P.S. Congrats. It's certainly a possibility. But it's tougher. It's much easier to it's much easier to have Lionel be a good guy. And while Larys, it's much harder to explain away. It might be that Larys is just an individual in his own, but Lionel and Harwin actually have hardly any role in Fire and Blood. Lionel, he becomes Hand of the King, and does very little as Hand of the King. We just don't hear about what he's doing as Hand of the King. Harwin, besides him being in the Gold Cloaks and him being implicated in the Errant for a Day incident, and him being implicated as the father of Rhaenyra, there's nothing else that Harwin does besides those like kind of loose rumors that paint him as a bad guy. And then both are killed. Both are like die at Harrenhal, and Larys, ends up inheriting everything, and a lot is pinned on Larys. So it may be that it's just Larys, and that Harwin and Lionel are actually good guys. I think the Council 101 being at Harrenhal is suspicious, but it's possible that they held the council there and had their conspiracy, and that the Strongs were just never informed. Who knows? But Lionel was Hand for so many years, though. It's tough to believe that Old Town would have been like not cool with that, because they would have maybe changed things up to put in their own person. But I don't know. It's it's always possible. Who do we think Elizabeth Olsen is playing in season 2? Is Elizabeth Olsen going to be in season 2? Huh. Let me look that up. House of the Dragon. I mean, it could be one of the rumors. Season 2, House of the Dragon. I guess they have rumored. Maybe, but isn't the WandaVision Netflix also called like House of something? Isn't the Agatha thing? Maybe people were confusing the the Agatha show. No, Agatha Coven of Chaos? No. Is that miniseries? I thought it was called like House of Harkness or something. Yeah, House of Harkness. I think people maybe were confusing House of Harkness with House of Dragon, and maybe that rumor came along. Maybe she's in it. Maybe she's going to be in two freaking House of shows. Cole will refuse more sex, and Rhaenyra will go for Harwin. Possibly. You never know. I mean, it's pretty. I think they're definitely pushing in the spurned suitor kind of thing that he's uh that 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 he's going to be angry at Rhaenyra, and that's going to be the thing that pushes him to be kingmaker at the end. I mean, something's got to shift him. I don't know. They've given too much. They've given too much emotion to. They've made him too much of a real person to just make him be like purely a pawn, or at least a willing pawn. Maybe he's like accidental. Like the Maesters are orchestrating all of this. Rhaenyra either did it on purpose or didn't do it at all, but accidentally having three bastard sons. That's the thing is I I think it's also kind of funny as if all three children had three different fathers. Because Criston Cole can be the father of Jace, but he cannot be the father of the latter two children. And then Harwin Strong can be the father of the latter two, and Lionel and Harwin can be. It's hard for Harwin to be the father of the first because he had the broken collarbone, but it's not impossible, but it's really hard when he's got a broken collarbone to be fathering Jace. And then it's possible for him to father the latter two, and it's possible for Laenor to father all three, and it's possible that all three had different fathers. It's just, or clearly George was just being ambiguous. Like George didn't fucking know. He was just like, I'm gonna put this in here, and everyone will debate it, and then I can decide later and retcon it. Because oh man, there's just so much retcon with Fire and Blood. Yeah. Sorry. Love the introduction with Blackwoods and Brackens. Yeah, I missed that it was even a bracken. I should have immediately like seen that. Um, I'm busy, so I can't listen, but I just wanted to say what's up and support the live. Thank you, Maynard Plum, my favorite avatar. Everybody's seen his avatar here, right? This is like the all-time best avatar I've ever seen. I um. Alice Rivers was Elizabeth Olsen rumor. I mean, it's just weird for her to be in two House of stuff. Dragon Demands says it's just clickbait rumor, but Alice Rivers would be would be the only. There's not many women introduced. I mean, I suppose there's some Starks at the Pact of Ice and Fire. We can introduce some Starks. I'm trying to think of new women besides Alice Rivers that would be in the show. That's all you can kind of get, right? You've got a few Starks and Alice Rivers. Is Alicent helping kill Viserys off? She sent everyone away to bathe herself. Oh, bathe him herself. And so obviously hates her life. Locked in a castle to whelp heirs. That would be interesting, considering like that they've spent so much time like repairing Alicent and making her a uh, a relatable, like sympathetic character. Uh it's a bit early for um for her to kill him off though, because she's got to wait for her own son to grow up and switch heir. Like if he died now, and the realm was like, oh wait, his named heir or a 3-year-old child, I think they'd yeah it was the play that established how much time had passed. It seems like maybe a year has passed between episode 3 and 4, because they said that the kid was 3 in the play. So, um, you know, given the choice between a named heir who's I mean, Rhaenyra's age, we don't know. Well, they keep messing up with Rhaenyra's age, but because they call her 15 and then she's 17 3 years later. So who knows how old she is in this episode? 19, 20, but nonetheless, she would be a clearer heir. And if their big thing is keeping Rhaenyra off the throne, they would have to wait a while. Um, but yeah, so she's gonna she's gonna be washing him, and then take some shit and rub it in his wounds and try to kill him Khal Drogo style. We know that Viserys is, I think, at this point going to make it another 10 years. So I don't. Um, Mushroom is the actual father of Rhaenyra's kids. That would be twist. That Mushroom was fine. It was him the whole time. Um, the I suppose it's on there. I mean, and it could also be Carl Corey. That's another one that she supposedly, Rhaenyra's rumored to have uh, menage a trois with Lionel and Carl Corey. So um, timeline's consistent. She was 17 at second Aegon's second name day because it was like 2 years and 10 months later. Well, that contradicts stuff because he said I'm going to marry Alicent in within 6 months. Now I understand, like, within, like, 1 month later is 6 months, um, which I mean, the implication was around 6 months, and so 6 months plus 9 months plus 2 years is 3.25 years. Now you could pull some other stuff and be like, well, maybe the wedding was um, earlier, uh, so and maybe she was actually pregnant before. Maybe they actually slept together in that episode, and she was. But even if that were the case, I don't know. It couldn't be too far. Like 2 years, 10 months. Like, what, she just turned 15 and she was like about to turn 18, and now it's a year later. No, they're off by a year. They fucked up. Like, they fucked up. I'll have to check this. I thought he said within. Is it Fire and Blood that he says within 6 months? Is that what I'm misremembering about? I'm gonna check my thing here. Not long after Criston donned the cloak, mourning his wife. Ronketer, Hightower. Jesus, why am I missing this? He took her to wife in 106. Um, I don't know. I must be misremembering. I mean, I don't know. I thought he said that when he was going to marry her, it was going to be within half a year or something. But nonetheless, it's Rhaenyra should be a year older. Um, I mean, I understand that like the House of the Dragon website. Um, I understand that like the House of the Dragon website and like wiki like tries to take what they say on screen and like reconcile it. Like for instance, Criston Cole being of Dornish descent. Like Alicent said that shit, and now it's got to be put in there, even though it doesn't make any sense. And the rest of like Criston Cole's history hasn't made any like reference to him being of Dornish descent. But they've put that in there now. And so it's just there, you know. They try to reconcile, they try to honeypot it, you know. Um, let's see. Shouldn't everyone be speaking Valyrian at courtly like French? It's a good point. Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, first of all, like the spread of the common tongue isn't logical at all. Okay, there's no reason that everyone should be speaking the common tongue, unless like even if you were going to say that the common tongue spread with the Septons and like Septon education, there's no reason that the people in the North should be speaking the common tongue, and to speak it, and certainly not like so consistently with like such like uniformity, like actual countries spend centuries like beating out native languages in order to like beat in the national language, like, and it takes forever and they're unsuccessful. Like, you can look at like Spain or France and like they still haven't beat out the minority languages to create like the national language, so or so it's tough. The that everyone speaks common tongue and we don't hear about any minority languages like anywhere in Westeros is stupid. Like that's just not how the world works. Okay. I can't think of a country that has such consistently uniform language. Like, like the United States, no. China, no. Like like what on earth even like countries that are pretty brutal about it, like Russia or something, like still the minority languages are spoken. Even Irish, like which like the where the UK like really tried to get people not to speak Irish, like no, it just didn't happen. The closest example I can get to it is like the extinction of American Indian uh, languages, and they they still exist. So they weren't quite successful. So yeah, there's just something about the common tongue. Something about the common tongue that just makes everyone in Westeros want to speak it, like irrationally. But you're right that like, why wouldn't Aegon have at court everyone speaking Valyrian? Seems like a good idea. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good point. It's a good point. Bormon's Baratheon's hair isn't black, and neither is Rhaenys. They seem to have. Baratheon hair being black is a book thing, a very big book thing, but they've removed it from the show. Of course, they removed like Tully hair being really red, and they removed violet, indigo, purple eyes, and all sorts of things. But yeah, the seed is strong. Black hair of Baratheons is just not a thing. But yeah, it's just not there. It is true that there are far fewer Valyrians than Normans. I mean, you're talking about 3 people keeping a tradition alive versus like an entire army of people. And that gets into like what were the Velaryons doing? Because when Aegon invaded, it was Valarian ships, and I imagine a Valarian army on the ground. Maybe it's people on Dragonstone. I don't know what they were speaking on Dragonstone and Driftmark. So maybe they were speaking common tongue for some reason as well. So they somehow um, they somehow didn't have it spread in. Are we going to talk about Elaine 2? I think I'm going to do a video where with Carmine or something where I talk about it a lot, because there's just so much to talk about with Elaine 2. Um, there was a lot more planning into like what, because so much had to go down in that chapter. There was a lot more planning involved. I spent a lot more time like reading submissions. There were longer submissions. I spent a lot of time like writing. There was a lot more time editing, a lot more. So it took a lot longer. It's the longest chapter we've done. There's a lot to talk about. And it was packed in. Like it ended like 9,500 words, but it had ballooned into like 1,100, and so we had to cut stuff down. So it's like everything was kind of shoved in there. There's so much to talk about on how it evolved and all the little references and Easter eggs, and there's more in Elaine 2 than any other. Daenerys had probably just as many Easter eggs, like word for word, but it's twice as long as Daenerys 2. So there's just so much to talk about on like this paragraph and what this means in this house and what this character is doing in the background. There's so much scheming on what's going on with Littlefinger and Elaine's plan, what's going on with Miranda's plan, and then what's going on with Donald Waynwood. That it's just it's really fun, and I don't want anyone to miss out on like how much is packed in there. So I so I want to have proper time for that. Yeah, congrats on the Lance Sample chapter. Sweet Robin's reaction to Orphan's reveal at the end was heart-wrenching. Is the cut material available to read? I don't think not much cut material is available to read. I mean, eventually we might like release other people's like chapters and stuff, but it was more like longer conversations. It was more longer conversations, and there were a few things that were made more obvious, that were made a little more subtle. Like I had, just for time and stuff, like I cut, for instance, like Hector Harding's squire, and like a description of his surcoat and things like that. But if you can kind of, if you read it again, you can figure out who Hector Harding's squire is and things like that. I doubt anyone on a first read would think about it, because Hector Harding's squire only makes like one appearance, but he had a greater description. There was more jousting, longer descriptions of the jousts, longer conversations between people, but like major plot points that were left out was just a few more fray Civil War stuff, kind of stuff. Okay, hear me out. Criston Cole is Bran, who is Howland Reed posing as Nimble Dick, who is truly the High Sparrow, who is truthfully a bird, whose skin changes into more as umber. Yes, I'm drunk. I think the big thing is just, is Criston Cole, and this is the question that we don't know at this point, is Criston Cole just a regular guy who is dealing with the fact that he has broken his Kingsguard vows and who is in love with Rhaenyra? And are we supposed to think about Criston Cole in the same way that we're supposed to think about Aerys Oakheart? Or is he part of a larger conspiracy with the Maesters? And maybe him doing his duty later is about that. Where Criston Cole was invented to be a precursor to Aerys Oakheart. He's or to be a precursor to Ariana Martell. So like he was originally there for that reason, and now he's grown and changed with Fire and Blood, because Fire and Blood is just such a massive retcon. But like, he was originally in that vein. You know, you're supposed to be thinking about his Kingsguard vows and love, and his duty, and what it means to protect people. And so when Fire and Blood came around, you know, who knows what's going on? It's put in Fire and Blood more that he's a spurned kind of angry guy. But if we're thinking about it originally with Aerys Oakheart, maybe he really, really does believe that Aegon is the heir, and it's his duty as a Kingsguard to protect him, and that was his real thinking, and that, you know, he felt guilty about it. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how they play it. Fire and Blood portrays a different Criston Cole than an Aerys Oakheart paralleled one. But nonetheless, that wasn't really what you were asking. But I do think Criston Cole's character is an interesting thing to explore. Was Rhaenyra and Criston consensual? He had plenty of time to say no, taking his armor off. Seems like he made his decision when he hung up his cloak. He did look very reluctant, right, at the beginning. Like, am I being ordered to do this? But he didn't resist very much. He could have like easily said something like, "My duties as a Kingsguard, prevent me from this and this and this, and that is a vow I made to the king." You know, he could have completely done that. So I think it was consensual. I think that it was supposed to be consensual. That this was a build up of you know, their time together. We're supposed to think about their time in the Kingswood together, and how they actually do get along, and how you know, they love each other. You know, that there was the whole discussion about her being able to choose who she wanted to be with. If royalty and class were not an issue, Rhaenyra and Criston would be together, is I think the implication. That in the grand scheme of like star-crossed lovers, like, these two were made compatible. You know, they get along personality-wise. They're both physically attracted to each other. In our world, they would be a couple, and they'd be together. And I think that's how we're supposed to see it. That this is a shame, that these two people that should be together are not, because of circumstance. But I think that's how I see it, just basing it on what was established in the previous episode and this. It is true that he looks very reluctant, but and the whole white cloak thing, like, at the same time, Criston Cole is not honorable. So, I mean, it's weird because, again, he's like paralleled with Aerys Oakheart, which Aerys Oakheart, you know, I would say is a very honorable guy. I understand that he breaks his Kingsguard oath, but, you know, he feels guilty about it, and he thinks about his morality, and he thinks about his code, and like what it means to be a Kingsguard, and that makes him a better person than 99% of the people in Ice and Fire. You know, so I think Aerys Oakheart is an honorable person, despite the fact that he breaks his vows. I think he tries to be honorable. He's just trying to figure out what honorable is. As opposed to like Balon Swan, who tries to be honorable and knows exactly what honorable is, you know? So I think Criston, you know, unfortunately they added these, you know, Criston has a whole bunch of incidences that are not honorable, killing people in tourneys, and then eventually betraying Rhaenyra after making vows to her and things like that. So I think Criston Cole is more of a bastard in Fire and Blood. What they've made him into now, I mean, yeah, he had his sucker flail thing, but we weren't supposed to interpret his sucker flail as bad. Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Sorry, what did I miss? Oh, did I leave my Starbucks cup? Oh, I'm sorry.
You did, you
What did
did.
I do?
In the screen. Yeah. Did you get the sense uh Rhaenyra and Criston was consensual, or do you think he was like forced into it through like him being the sexual harassment kind of situation, where a superior
Here we go.
forces a subordinate into a bad
I thought I was
situation.
gonna come here and have a good time, not to give
No,
controversial
right?
answers. What the
It was
fuck?
good. It was
Uh,
good. That was some sexy Cinemax softcore. That was some good stuff, right?
Yo, what the fuck is with the Red Keep having so many orgy pics all over the fucking place? Who's printing this stuff?
I don't
Who's
know.
who's drawing this
I
shit and just
I don't
posting it all over?
I you know yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, as if this is like ancient Rome or ancient Greece or something, you know? Um I'm trying to think like who did they have orgy pics in the Middle Ages? I mean, I've been to a lot of museums and I've never seen a tapestry from the Middle Ages depicting orgies. Um, but so yeah, you'd think that because tapestries, they don't last that long. So I mean, I don't know. Do you think it can't be like Faith of the Seven is pretty rigid. I don't get this stuff. You
Hmm.
know? Yeah, there shouldn't be orgy pics. Oh, how are you doing?
Real quick, my guy Daniel Cathers in my Patreon, my patron, he goes, "I'm a new father as of a week ago as well, and the baby boy is fed. Thank you for your condolences, Preston. Congrats to you as well. I'm on night feeding duty."
What's funny is after I said it, like I felt because it's such a jerky thing to say to be like condolences to men that somewhat have to share the burden because clearly the women are putting in like massive amount of work and not sleeping at all, right? And for
Hmm.
me, but for me to be like, oh, condolences to formula fed babies to men who have to deal with that. It's like it's not even in the same realm as what the women are doing, right? So like I realized like after I said that I was like, ooh, that doesn't sound great. But yeah,
Also, I have to
formula fed
say,
baby, like men in formula fed situations do a lot more work than men in breastfed situations. Yeah.
I have a conspiracy here. I have a theory about you that
Mm.
you always save your most controversial BS for when it's on my channel, because everyone and their mothers is calling you out for the whole Viserys comment you made about how he can't imagine he'd remarry. Like,
Oh my god. Fuck the series, dude. It's amazing. It's amazing
what
that
have I done?
we went from my least favorite episode to my most favorite episode. I think I like this episode 4 the most. There's just so many
Hmm.
little neat things to debate about what's going on. It's gotten complicated and fun. Like just sitting here and everybody in the chat like bringing stuff up, like maybe this happened. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a really good point. Oh, maybe this happened. Oh, that's a really good point. Like, like
Someone in my server ran Jesus Christ, bro. Just said so. Okay, so mushroom stories are canon apparently. So yeah, kind of.
uh, no, they're kind of so they took the ambiguity different is they went halfway with stuff, like reading Fire and Blood. You can kind of go, okay, was Damon really like taking Rhaenyra off to practice giving blowjobs and stuff and kissing lessons or whatever. Um, and you kind of go, okay, that either happened or it didn't. Well, the show here, they kind of go, well, it sort of happened. They shared a kiss. He took her to a brothel. It wasn't there. It wasn't there instructional. It wasn't instructional so that she would know how to do stuff. It was just like, hey, this is cool. This is a night out.
She
You know,
she saw a couple of people fucking. I'd say that's pretty instructional. And I would
right?
also
But it wasn't necessarily
did
for
he
the purpose of being instructional. Like in Fire and Blood, it's
hmm.
specifically she reveals to Damon that she's in love with Kristen Cole, and he's like, what would be great is if you knew how to properly give him head. And so he's like, you can practice on me. Like that's more or less like the Fire and Blood plot, like the Mushroom Tale. And then like Mushroom, you can practice on Mushroom too, you know. And then when she finally goes to Criston Cole, he's like, dude, what the hell? You know, like that's the tale. But it's and that she kept the
I was
Mushroom
under the
Tale has her
impression that
keep
he
her man.
was like. Well, I was under the impression that he started like having sex with her, and then he stopped midway, and she got upset that he didn't want to continue.
There was definitely some weirdness because I think her pants are down. Well, he turns her around.
Yes.
He turns her around, and I was like, "Oh God!" Like, because anytime in I mean, all right, we're gonna get into some detailed stuff here. Okay, first of all, how tall is Miley Alcock? What's her name?
Are we doing measurements here? Oh my god.
This is important stuff. Okay.
Millie Alcock, Jesus Christ, height. Let me look it up. She is 5'5".
Oh, she's not that short. I mean,
No.
she's short, but 5'5". I mean,
Matt Smith is 6 foot.
no, he's not. He's not having sex with her standing up.
Really? I would argue that he at least put the tip in. I mean, a
I
little
mean,
bit, just
you would have
once.
seen him like squatting down to do like a more
Hmm.
awkward scene, and she would have been bent
Hmm.
over more. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, I get it that it's TV, and in TV they do the turn around, we're having sex against the wall, standing up thing all the fucking time. But let's be honest, no, that's not like no, like those heights, no, unless he's like squat, unless he starts crouching, you know, like it's just come on, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, yeah, I understand that like TV doesn't do realistic sex, but like realistically, no, they're not having sex standing up. Okay, it's just like it's just not happening unless he's
I'll
like
have to
lift.
download the episode and turn on the brightness to see if we can see some nipple. I got you.
I don't. I mean, they did the whole Cinemax scene and she didn't show, so I don't think they're gonna show. You know, I don't think she agreed to it. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Didn't
sorry.
agree to nipple. Oh, by the way, this motherfucker Matt Smith. How the fuck are you gonna do a prequel to Game of Thrones and then complain? Because he complained later about the amount of sex scenes. Homie, that's like doing a shark attack film and complaining about all the sharks.
I thought he was
Why the
being
fuck would you
ironic.
do like?
I thought he was joking.
No, no, he was joking. This motherfucker was joking.
I
Please.
mean, it's true
Oh,
that like
please.
he's got plenty of hot women in his real life that he doesn't have to worry about it. But yeah, but yeah, I don't think yeah, realistically, he's not able to have sex with her standing up without some sort of shifting of position there.
I mean, oh,
You know, if she were like 6 feet as well, like, you know, maybe I could buy it, but like, you know, with a, you know, just a little more, but no, not 5'5". Come on, come on. Mm, mm, mm.
Preston has experience in this. He knows what he's talking about. He's taller than everyone he's ever met.
I mean, look, I'm an old man. I've seen some things. Okay.
Oh, stop saying you're old, because I'm not that far from you. I'm like, what, couple years, 10 years, 10, 12 years, 11? Stop
Yes,
saying
yes.
you're old.
All right.
You're
Well,
old when
you
you're
know,
60.
yes. Well, you know, I've dated people that are tall. I've dated people that are short. Okay, and I understand. I understand the world. As an old man. Any idea what the next fanfic chapter will be? I'm not completely sure, but I'm leaning towards Hota 2. And I know like Hota is not necessarily like everybody's like favorite dude, but like it has to do with the first day of winter and the timing of the ravens and just trying to get everybody you know, everybody aligned and all that stuff happening before we can move forward. And so I'd like to get Hota 2 and either an Arion or John Con chapter, so that we can just catch up to the first day of winter and then start thinking about everything else going forward. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Hota too. Um, but so we'll see. Though maybe I have to think about it. I have to think about it. This it's been a busy week. Busy week. Criston Cole is a horse. Was he? He wasn't even a horse this episode though. He was a horse last episode. I mean, I understand. I understand he was not last. Oh, was he last seen a horse? No, I think he was last seen a Rhaenyra. No, I guess he was last seen like coming in and like telling
is that a dad joke?
Okay. Uh, it was more that Rhaenyra was last seen a Cole, but no, he comes in and has one more like weird scene with her. Millie's hot. Yeah. Well, that's why they cast her. That's why they cast her. They literally said House of the Dragon and A Song of Ice and Fire in the episode. Yeah, I have to check back on like what the speech was that he was given on the dagger, but he tells her like, yeah, the prince that was promised, prophecy was on that. So that's kind of
I thought that was cool. That
yeah.
it lights up when the dagger's on fire. I thought that was super fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I thought it was cool. Some people would think it's lame. I thought it was a really.
I'm
neat
sure
detail.
someone's going to be like, "Oh, stealing stuff from Lord of the Rings," right?
Was that in Lord of the Rings?
With the ring.
Oh, right, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. I thought you were gonna say the one of the hobbits' swords light up when orcs are around. But yeah, that's right. The ring. Ah, okay. We also
Yeah.
get confirmation that the dagger came from Aegon, and it's directly connected to old Valyria.
Oh yeah. Like this dagger was everybody's, and it's like, what? Like, how did? Now it's a real mystery, considering it's like the most important Targaryen dagger ever. Like it was owned by Aegon the Conqueror, and he's passing it down, and then somehow between House of the Dragon and the Cat's Paw, because we don't even know how between Littlefinger, like Littlefinger has the dagger, and we're not really well. Actually, no. Well, again, this is book and show, right? Because in the show, it's just Littlefinger's dagger, right? It's never not Littlefinger's dagger. In the show,
Didn't Littlefinger supposedly won it or something from Tyrion or Robert, or wasn't it Rob? Isn't the theory that it was in Robert's armory and Joffrey got a hold of it or something? What's
right? Well, that's all book stuff, but they never explain it in the show. He says, "Oh, that's my dagger," and then right. I think even the disagreement about the bets, like Tyrion does say, "I didn't bet," so he's like lying about. I think in the show we just have to conclude that the bet never happened, or that the dagger was not part of the bet, because Tyrion never had that dagger, and it's never said to be Robert's dagger. It's just that one, Littlefinger lied about having a bet with Tyrion, and two, like it was Littlefinger's dagger. So, or maybe Littlefinger lied about ever owning that dagger. We're not sure. We just know that it's in the Cat's Paw's possession. So we'll see. We'll see. Huh. Oh, by the way, like real briefly, like Lord of the Rings episode 3 was pretty good too. It was pretty good.
Oh, why did you say that? Now you're gonna get everybody disliking the.
I know, right?
Oh. Okay, real quick. I'm glad you're here. Okay, go to your dashboard. Tell me how many actual dislikes are on that video, and I'll tell you how many dislikes YouTube will tell you it has. Or
which video do you want me to check dislikes on?
The Lord of the Rings one you put out. Let me see your channel here. Go to that
Oh,
channel
oh,
real
oh,
quick. I want to show the audience
oh,
this.
oh. Okay,
The
okay.
Rings of Power discussion we did. Okay, so how many? Go on your dashboard and tell me
Okay,
how
yeah,
many
I'm
dislikes you
looking it
see.
up. Okay. All right, my Rings of Power. Is it going to be in my studio, or do I have to go to
Studio.
Right, all right. I know, but like it's like pub. Oh, here we go. If I pull it out. Okay. Oh my gosh. Holy fuck.
It's
Yeah,
not 800.
I have a ratio of 72.9. That's insanely low. That would be my most hated
Well,
video of all time.
move your mouse over. What's the dislike? Because on YouTube, on the
Yeah.
video, I have the
Uh-huh.
extension. It says 884. That's not the actual number. YouTube will
Mine
tell you
mine
the
says
actual number.
398.
Dislikes?
398 dislikes.
And how many likes? 1,000?
1069.
That's the actual fucking number of dislikes. You don't have 800 dislikes on that video. You have fucking 300 or 400 because these assholes have gone on multiple
Oh, I
accounts and
see.
have gone on there. And yes, so that's exactly what I've been trying to say. No, but Rings of Power was actually not that bad. It really wasn't. People
That's insane
complaining
because
about it are fucking
it's not like
weirdos.
we're very controversial in that or anything. Like there's no reason. Like I say, my like when I put out really like some of my well recently my House of the Dragon stuff has not been disliked as much. But like even when I look at like super controversial videos, right? Like some of my House of the Dragon stuff. I mean, some of my like anti Game of Thrones stuff, like with Chad Summerchild. Some of that would drop to like an 85% like to dislike ratio, or like my chat with Destiny is an 85 um, percent like 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 to dislike ratio. Usually my videos are in the 95 to 99 percent ratio. So like overall, like even my most controversial videos are really well liked on the ratio. 85. So if 79 is the most hated video I've ever put out, would be our review of Rings of Power. That's just insane. Like, what's wrong with these people? Like, what's wrong with these people?
And
It's a
I got
fun.
flack for this on Twitter. Someone was like, just because I disliked it doesn't mean I'm incel. No, if you have
Yeah.
legitimate reasons for disliking it, you think it's boring, you think the characters are lame, that's a legitimate reason. But if you're out here saying, Galadriel shouldn't be that strong, bro, Galadriel is the first elf ever made by, like,
Yeah.
Luvatar or whoever the fuck. Like, of course, she's one of the first. Of course, she'd be incredibly powerful. She's older than Elrond. Like,
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah.
mean?
No, episode 3 of Rings of Power was by far the best one. It was a really good episode. I would say I like just because I hated House of the Dragon last week so much. I liked Rings of Power episode 3 more than House of Dragon episode 3. Um, and I'm sitting here praising House of the Dragon episode 4. Like episode this episode 4, I'd say 9 out of 10. This is a fucking great episode.
Really?
Um,
Wow. I would not
yeah.
go that far. I still like episode 3. Maybe I'll before I give my rating, I'll probably rewatch it 2 more times. But I actually liked it a lot too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is my favorite episode so far. Like, they don't have anything.
Mm.
There's nothing like like. I look at it this way. Like, was there something really horribly bad, and was there anything like even the pilot had stuff that was horribly bad. There was nothing horribly bad in this episode, and there was a lot. There was a lot
No.
of good. Um, so it was a lot of great
Actually, there is
performances.
one thing that was bad.
What's
There's
that?
one thing I have to cry foul on. We don't see Storm's End. We know she's inside Storm's End, but we don't see Storm's End. Fuck you, Ryan Condal. How dare you? You give us asshole and brothels all day long, but you won't show Storm's End? You fuck. How dare you? Give us
Fair,
Storm's End.
fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Hey, you get the eerie. I want to see this fucking thing.
Yeah, yeah. Um, somebody also said that. But anyway, we can do. I mean, we'll probably do a Rings of Power like episode 3 and 4 together or something. But like,
You mean on your channel? Because I'm not going through this bullshit again. I'm not, oh, man, look, your fans came out in a thousand likes. Your fans came out in fucking support. Shout out to you guys listening right now. Me, I got called a homo by my actual patrons. Like, no, this on your channel, buddy.
Yeah, standing sex to lose your virginity is even more impractical. That's okay. Yeah, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. Um. Oh, how explicit will Laenor's sexuality be? That's a good question. I think they're gonna probably make it explicit, but at the same time, um whether he's capable of still fathering a child, like, is another thing, or maybe he's bisexual or something. But I think they'll probably make it, because they want to, that they're gonna put in a male on male, like, love scene. They're not gonna not do that. So yeah. We need a Samuel chapter. It's been 17 years. We will, but like I say, it's really important that we do the Samuel chapter after the first day of winter. While all the other chapters, like, I need to get all the chapters that are done before the first day of winter done so we can do Samuel. I got a very interesting, some interesting ideas that people have been talking about with Samuel. There's so much to do with him. I don't know if we can fit it all. Like, I have too many good ideas with Samuel to fit in one chapter. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Um, has your wife seen any House of the Dragon yet? No, my wife doesn't like gore. So, which is funny because she loves, like, procedural dramas and stuff where they're, like, talking about, like, violent stuff, but she doesn't like seeing the violent stuff. So it's not like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon is just not up her alley. It's just not what she likes. Um, the Through whose eyes will we see the Battle of Fire? Well, I mean, through the Battle of Fire, we're seeing it through everybody's eyes, right? We're seeing it through Barristan's. We're seeing it through uh, Victarion. We're seeing it through Tyrion. We'll, probably see it through Quentin. I think you mean, like, the Battle of Steel. That's the one, or the Battle of Blood. Battle of Blood we'll probably see through Aeron's and maybe through Samwell's eyes, and then Battle of Steel we can see through Arion and John Con. I would like to see both done, to have the multiple perspectives on stuff. So we'll see, we'll see about that. But yeah, I think all of the wars should have multiple perspectives, and I think that's just the way to do it. I'm so
Real
tired
quick,
of all this
you watched
the Song of Ice and Fire. First of all, I'm such a huge fan of Upright Citizens Brigade. Like, I love Upright Citizens Brigade, both the show and I love the theater in New York. Every time I go to New York City, I try to go see a Upright Citizens Brigade show. I fucking love it. But man, what a great series, and what a great joke. You know what I'm talking about, Carmine?
you put it in your review every time.
I know, but, like, have you ever? Did you know it was a series on Comedy Central?
I did not know that, no, but I know where it's from now because you put it in
So,
there.
Amy Poehler, who everybody knows, and then the uh, Matt, what's his name? He mainly did Veep, and then, there's a couple of these guys you'll see and stuff, but it's these four guys, these three guys and Amy Poehler, like, were part of this improv comedy troupe called Upright Citizens Brigade, and they were given this series on Comedy Central, and Comedy Central would play it at, like, 11:30 on a Friday night, and then never in rerun, and, like, and it was just like, and they went through 3 seasons, and it was so good. It's so fucking good. And only seasons 1 and 2 came out on DVDs, and not even season 3. But it's just so funny. It was just, they just based it on, like, what they did as their improv group, because they had this, like, underground improv theater in New York City, and you can go see shows for like $5, and they would take stuff from their skits, and then it's now like an improv teaching school making bank on all these people that think they can do improv, and I don't know, like obviously Amy Pollard went huge, and so every once in a while she still does a show there. So when she wants, so it's pretty good stuff. But yeah, those Upright Citizens Brigade uh, were funny.
Check Facebook, by the way, because someone hit me up on Twitter and they're like, "We might get mushroom." I can't tell if that's mushroom or just a guy
Yeah,
that's
some people were
short.
mentioning that. You
Did
sent
you
me a
see? Oh, did you
photo.
see the episode 5 preview?
I didn't. I went straight on. So
Oh,
okay, I've got the
watch
picture.
the episode 5
Oh, I
preview real
see.
quick. It's actually fucking insane. I think they're putting some. I don't want to spoil it for you, but we're gonna have another crazy wedding.
Hmm.
And you gotta keep. What do you mind watching it real quick?
Oh, the preview?
Mute. Yeah, muted, of course, if you're gonna show us, but it's
Sure. Okay.
on
So this
HBO
is the
YouTube.
scene that we're um that we're looking at. Okay. Um, let me. Yeah. Let me. I gotta. Yeah. I can watch it here on mute. Detach my sidecar. I think some people are going to be pretty bored, but how long? Is just a couple minutes?
No, it's no. The preview is like 30 seconds. It's on HBO.
Oh, okay.
YouTube's HBO.
Okay. All right, mute. I got to mute so I don't get copyrighted. But I got my closed captioning on. Is it after the credits, or do I have to go out and get into a normal
No,
thing?
go on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube already? Fucking a.
Yeah, of course. Like literally, the moment the
Fine,
episode ends.
fine,
Want me
fine,
to
fine,
link it to you?
fine. I didn't need to. Okay, let me look at this episode 5 preview. Mute this shit. Okay. Um, Viserys looking like crap on the next House of the Dragon. I see. That might have been mushroom. Ships, wedding, clapping, dragons, looking off into the distance. Oh, fights. Harwin getting in a fight. Criston Cole in a fight. Cloak. Oh, Viserys is dead. Or it looks like he's dead. Oh my. Okay. All right. I should have watched that with my closed caption. I wish to propose in marriage to my daughter and heir. Royal wedding. Herald of the Second Age of Dragons. I see. I mean, it was just so obvious that she should marry him from the beginning. The succession is challenged. Knives will come out. Oh, I see the. Okay. Suspenseful music. The king will die. Rhaenyra will succeed. War will follow. Well, Viserys can't die yet. Yeah.
No, he's not going to die yet.
Yeah. He can't. He can't die yet. It's not enough time. Maybe it might be like just a cameo thing. Like we're gonna have him like as part of the band and entertainment for like just the wedding, or he's the Valarian fool, and we don't get to see him more until she like goes off with the black and forms the Black Council or something. They could have done it like that. Would you like to have seen the crab feeder recurring schemer like Euron instead of a boss fight? Well, we didn't even get the boss fight. I would have wanted the boss fight. Like I say, had I planned House of the Dragon, I would have made a Lyseni character, and then and we would have seen things through his perspective. And then you would have gotten to know the crab feeder a bit more. And then you would have had the battle with Daemon. And then that character would have disappeared for a while. And we would have wondered if he was dead. And then we'd bring him back. Kind of in the same way with Davos. Like you see Davos, he disappears after the battle, and then he comes back. And you're like, oh, Davos is back, you know? And so I think I would have done that with this character. Or maybe continued on with him, you know, and see, you know, have him show up later in the season as the Lyseni do something. But I would have had multiple locations rather than what they did. So I think I would have had Crab Feeder be a bigger character than he was. You know, or at least had him talk, know some stuff about him, rather than just him twitching. Because all we got was like,
he's looking for the dragon. He's looking around.
yeah, like that's the Crab Feeder's personality. Let's see. Oh, Tolkien fans are the original freaked fan base. I don't even think it's like the Tolkien fans. Like I could see the Tolkien fans like being upset, but like they, you know, it's got to be something beyond that, you know, because I can't see like these Tolkien fans like causing these like huge, because what they're complaining about is the Black Dwarves, and like I don't like, yeah, it's not Silmarillion material. It's not. They didn't have the rights to Silmarillion. It's not Silmarillion material. In fact, I think they probably copyright-wise had to purposely not do Silmarillion material. And so I think, you know, but it's not that. It's like it's this whole like diversity casting thing that they're complaining about, you know. So which,
to be fair,
you know,
there are
House
two
of the
types of
Dragon,
people complaining.
yeah, House of the Dragon did it, and you know there was some complaints about House of the Dragon, but you don't see, you know, like these downvote brigades and like stuff like that.
Well, I can explain that. There are two types of people bitching. The actual Tolkien fans, like, that's not even what they're fucking complaining about. I've seen the actual Tolkien fans complain about where's Galadriel's husband, which she has a husband at this point in the lore. The other people complain about the Black Dwarves. They're just from like the fucking alt-right. By the way, did you know who Geeks and Gamers are, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know Zack Snyder actually called him an alt-right like YouTube channel. I didn't know that. Zack Snyder, the director, came
Right,
out
a
against this fucking guy.
fairly right leaning guy. Zack Snyder
Yeah.
is a Republican. I mean, so if he's calling them that, that's something. Huh.
Also, I recently put this in my video. The reason no one's complaining about House of the Dragon and the quote unquote wokeness, because I would argue this is ridiculous. And I was having this conversation with someone in my comment section. How the fuck can you say Rings of Power is more woke than House of the Dragon? House of the Dragon has more black people than Rings of Power does. And it has more like conversations about the patriarchy or the message.
I mean, the fundamental plot is that, yeah. I mean, the entire plot is the patriarchy. Yes.
That's not. There's nothing like that in Rings of Power. By all, like, if you compare the two, House of the Dragon has more of quote unquote woke bullshit than Rings of Power does. It's really not about that. I remember watching this one. I don't want to say his name. I'll type it to you on Facebook. This guy here, you've probably seen him before. This guy there, he made his bones on YouTube doing Last Jedi stuff, bashing on the Last Jedi. He went from he had that, and then he tried ripping on Mandalorian, and because Mandalorian was so good, he didn't understand that the grift had limits, and I think this is what, like, you know, your boy Critical Drinker understands. He knows that grifts has limits, and he knows he shouldn't fuck with House of the Dragon because people are enjoying that. So he's not gonna fuck with it.
Right. I'll fuck with it, but like, but the yeah, no, I mean, he'll just continue doing videos about how She-Hulk is a bad show. Actually, She-Hulk's a pretty good show, actually, which is funny.
I'm enjoying She-Hulk too.
She-Hulk's really funny. It's a really funny show.
It is.
You know? But he'll just keep making videos about how much he hates She-Hulk and Brie Larson. there might be something else with regards to the fan base in general. Like Ice and Fire has, if you're a book fan, you know that the books are woke, right? And so, earlier people are like, oh, can you have a big like YouTuber convention, content creator like convention? And I was like, well, I mean, not that there's any huge beef between like YouTubers with House of the Dragon or Ice and Fire, but there's some personalities that don't meld. And I'm like, and it's not even over like politics or anything like that, because all of our politics are pretty similar. Because people that like Ice and Fire, Ice and Fire is a really left wing kind of thing. All the people are left wing. Like let's except for like one or two, but like it's like the disputes between us are completely personality based. But then I realized like Ice and Fire's fans are pretty left wing.
Not really. I've noticed. I read my comment section. I've noticed a couple of people who are out of their fucking
because
mind.
they're loud. But like, I'm not saying that they're not there, but some like I said, that Nazi guy, Jack Prosobiec or something. He was like an ultra fan of Ice and Fire, and he's a Nazi. But like,
Who?
I'll
Jack? What? Prosobiec?
Yeah, Paso Biek. Yeah, he was like an Ice and Fire like ultra fan. He named his dog Sandor and shit, and he's a fucking not like literal Nazi. So it's not like you don't get people that just completely miss the fucking point. Like, there's nothing cool about Sandor. The whole point of the story is that Sandor is not cool. He's a damaged man, and it's really sad that
wait, this guy here? Sent you on Facebook. This guy here, that he's verified on Twitter. That guy?
Yeah, he makes his living off of Nazi tweets. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He makes his living off of Nazi tweets and Patreon. People giving him donations for Nazi tweets.
Damn.
But he started out as an Ice and Fire fan. His handle was angry GOT fan.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
It's familiar because he compiled the Winds of Winter's chapters and sent them around the web, and so most people's copies have his angry GOT fan on them. But he that's him, and he's a fucking Nazi. So like, but these people are out there. But might be something like that. I'm not sure. That like,
real quick. This guy Stanny says, "Oh yeah, Pasabiak is a Stannis fan. The same Stannis who let thousands of undocumented immigrants through the wall." That's a good one. Also, do you want to get to this guy's super chat here? That's an interesting conversation.
This one here. I'm a Tolkien fan, and I just don't know why.
The last one. The last one.
I missed one?
Yeah, you missed one.
Sorry.
That's a funny
one. How did your Twitter poll go?
It wasn't a fucking poll, all right? It was a post. Did you see that post?
What was it?
Oh my god, it's like a bunch of like random assholes and like YouTubers, and even Winter is Coming, the actual website, the verified, they even like chimed in on it. Basically, it was me saying how let me show it to you real quick. You can actually see this. Let me tweet it out. Let me put it on Facebook real quick for you. While I do that, open the door for the cat before she starts crying. There you go, boo-boo.
Yeah, I saw
it. Okay, right. So in that fucking comment, right? So this tweet gets put on Tumblr. And Tumblr has the most insane dirtbags imaginable. And of course, people on Tumblr like went into my thing and tried to like say, this guy does not speak for all of us. Like, I want all of these things. First off, why do you guys want HBO to be the Game of Thrones channel? Because that worked out for AMC being the Walking Dead channel? Yeah, no.
Right.
The other thing is that Time Warner is not making money moves. And if they're going to do another spinoff right now, they should probably do something like Hedge Knight, which is a smaller story.
Mm-hmm.
Hedge Knight is in a nice little corner of Westerosi history where like the fate of the world is not threatened by civil war on dragons or snow zombies. It's
Yeah.
a nice little story. You could do 6-episode limited series or more if it's popular.
Hmm.
But no, people just kept bitching. He does not speak for. Obviously, I don't fucking speak for everyone. Somehow the fucking tweet went like viral.
Somehow, yes, yes, yes. The 20 million people that watched House of the Dragon. Red Team Review speaks for all of them.
Jesus Christ. The funny fucking thing about that is that I have to show you this shit. I'll send it to you on Facebook. Someone on the House of the Dragon subreddit, right?
Hmm.
They fucking put a poll of what spinoff do you want the most? On my tweet, you have like dozens of these like weirdo like dipshits saying, I want 10,000 ships. That should be number one. On the actual like House of the Dragon subreddit, the poll, 10,000 ship is dead last with
Wow.
67 votes. Yeah,
Oh.
the top three are Doom of Valyria, Robert's Rebellion, and Blackfire Rebellion. If that tells you
Wow.
anything, is that people want more Targaryen shit.
Yeah, they want dragons and war. I guess I'm when I'm
Right.
like, who cares about the fucking dragons? I'm wrong. Like for me, I'd be like, I'd want Hedge Knight. I'd fucking want Hedge Knight. Like, why wouldn't I fucking want the best fucking George R. R. Martin story? Like, put forward. Like,
Exactly. But
like
and
word
some
word
and I
for
know you
word for word. I'm gonna this is a hot take. Word for word, Hedge Knight, Sworn Sword, and Mystery Knight is better than A Song of Ice and Fire. Like word for word.
you can you can put this up on here if you want. This is just me
Yeah.
like rocking the cradle. Not rocking the cradle. That sounds weird. This is just me rocking the boat and being an asshole. But I compiled a bunch of tweets of people saying, "I want 10,000 ships," and it's like just like a bunch of like
Okay.
crazy
Okay.
weirdos.
Okay.
And you don't have to put it up, but I was gonna
No,
put
no,
like
it's
the
fine.
poll in the middle.
Oh, let
Like
me
you
let me
know,
let me let me grab the I'll show the poll here for people because I'm looking at this um
and you know me, like you're gonna talk shit to me, I'll clap back. Like I'm sorry, but fuck off. Like like you're not gonna talk shit to me and think you're gonna get away with. I don't give a fuck who you are. And no, it's basically
yeah,
what
yeah.
this
I
first
mean,
season's portraying.
Carmine feeds every troll.
Nah, that's not true. Stop it.
This
That
this
was
this
the
this is
poll.
Carmine's poll here.
I didn't make that. Some random person did on House of the Dragon. I think
Oh,
it's been
okay, okay, okay.
updated
I'm
since
sorry.
then. It's been updated since then. More people have voted, but it's largely the same. No
Yeah.
one fucking wants 10,000 ships or a sea snake. And I
I
said that. I
mean,
said,
yeah, my vote would definitely be Hedge Knight, and then you could put in Blackfire Rebellion stuff in the background and have it
mhm.
grow. You could have like 3 seasons of Hedge Knight and then have it grow into Blackfire Rebellion. You know, that's what
Guys,
I'd.
just so you know, even though I know I made the meme, I know I made the meme 100 years, 100 seasons. I just want you to know I cry as I say 100 seasons. I don't
I
want
know.
100 seasons. I
It's
don't.
it's it's funny because like before, so I predicted that House of the Dragon was going to do okay. It's doing much better than I expected. It's doing much better than I expected.
Oh,
It's
yeah. Mhm.
all of these spin-offs are now going to go forward full steam ahead, which is bad news for the Winds of Winter. But all of this fucking shit is going to go forward like full steam ahead. They are 100% committed to becoming, like Disney, like AMC, like a one
Cinematic universe.
HBO is going to do one fucking thing, and it's going to be Game of Thrones. Like that's all they're fucking do. That's all they're
Right,
doing.
that was my mentality here is that like first off, they have to be very strategic with what they pick. Who the fuck
I
cares
know.
about Corlys' 9 voyages? I care. I want to see that because I like the series. I want to see all these things. Of
Right,
course,
right,
I
right.
do. But let's talk about this from a casual standpoint.
It's so
Casuals
funny because when we
clearly
say
want
these
Targaryen.
things like who cares about, it's like, well, obviously we do, but it's like we understand what the average person is. Like if let's say they decided to do a series on like the Dornish master plan, like I'd be like, yeah, who care? Like that's a really bad idea. like who would care about that? Oh, well, I mean, I would, but no one else would.
Real quickly before we get off this topic,
Yeah.
and I believe I asked Dragon Demands to find me the article, and thank you to Mr. Demands. And you were actually when we do a podcast on this, you actually said it. George R. R. Martin actually agrees with me here. George R. R. Martin during the pitch meeting, He was the one saying, "Why don't you guys do Dance of Dragons? It has dragons in it." Like George R. R. Martin knows exactly what I'm saying. If you're gonna
True.
like do a spin-off to Game of Thrones, you have to have the Iron Throne. You have to have dragons. You have to have Starks, Lannisters. Like, come on, dude. Like, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Someone was saying we should have ET. Why would you do fictional ancient China and not just do actual real world China? Like,
Right.
what? What's the
Right.
point?
It has nothing. They're doing it because they want that show, but at the same time, they can put Game of Thrones at the top. It has
Right,
nothing to do. It has nothing to do with Game of Thrones, but they get to brand it as Game of Thrones.
exactly. So why the fuck would anyone watch a Game of Thrones fictional China without Game of Thrones elements? That's why I said combine it with Jon Snow. Have it a
Yeah.
Marco Polo story. Jon Snow goes over there, blah blah. At least that's somehow Game of Thrones because you have Jon. But without Jon, ET's just fictional China. Might as well just do actual real China, like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Mongol Invasion, Marco
It's true.
Polo. Why the what the fuck?
Yeah.
What dumb.
Yeah. I
Sorry.
know.
We're
I
fucking
know. I
stupid.
know. And the thing is, it's going to take away from like other, because HBO puts out great shows, and so you're taking away other great HBO shows. Like for example, a third season to,
Don't say it.
I know.
Don't say it. Leftovers?
No. Leftovers had 3 seasons.
Oh,
Third
okay. I was about to
season
say.
to Raised by Wolves.
Oh yeah, I would love that.
But
Fuck
now
that.
it's
Yeah, that's
gone.
good.
Um,
Mm.
okay. I'm a Tolkien fan, and I just don't know why they even bothered buying Lord of the Rings rights to make their own Elf versus Dark Lord story. It's buying the name recognition, and that's annoying. It's the exact same thing as what we're talking about with ET. Like you're doing something that has nothing to do, but you've got the brand recognition because Hollywood doesn't want to have the risk. They want built-in audience. Um, now, Rings of Power is just bad fan fiction and average show. I'd say, well, at least episode 3, I'd say it's better than. Well, visually, it's better than any incredible. So it's not an average show. It's like let's get beyond that. Like it's not an average show. It's got really really fucking good filming and special effects. So let's not claim it's an average show. Now writing wise, I mean, as of episode 3, that was a really fucking good episode. I'd say there's nothing wrong with the writing in that episode at all. It was really good. And what's weird is that episode actually had the bad CGI. You that weird dog thing, didn't it look really weird, Carmine?
The warg when they assault the
Yeah.
elves. Yeah.
Yeah, that warg looked weird, though I loved the battle. I'm digging all of their fights. Their fights are all so original and interesting with regards to choreography. I'm really digging their fight scenes.
You know what I really like the most is actually the mystery of where and who Sauron is, and I really wish they leaned more on that because
Yeah, I can't believe they got me with the whole icon thing, where they twisted it and they're like, "Oh, it's Mordor," and I'm like, "Oh, I was wondering about that." Oh,
yeah.
They got me. They got me because it's so simple, yet they just turn it, and I'm like, "Oh." I mean, you could say it's bad fan fiction if we just went with episode 1. I'd say that the writing on episode 1 is pretty poor dialogue, but so visually grandiose. And then episode 3 had a really good story, really good writing, really good dialogue. I don't know why people had problems with it. It was really good.
They didn't. Everyone is lukewarm on the show.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like night and day difference, episode 3 and episodes 1. It's just trajectory up. It's amazing. It's like a completely different show, episode 3.
Do you agree with what I said though about how they should have released the first 3 episodes because it feels
absolutely. But they only have 8.
Yeah.
They only had 8 to start with, right? So they want to spread it out over
spread it out, but I think the hype of the premiere is more. It really counts, personally speaking.
Keep up the great work, Upright Citizens Brigade season 3. I've got this Assemble Papa. I'm forgetting the because season 3 I wasn't able to watch that much, so I'm there's actually big holes of what I've seen in season 3. Like obviously I remember like the baseball game they have with the gun in the middle of the outfield, but
They have really good.
they've got this crazy game, and for some reason, one of the rules is that a gun has to be kept in the outfield in a circle. No other because it's. I think the game is supposed to represent like everything America, and
Mhm.
so it's just there. And they're like, "Is it part of the game?" They're like, "No, it's just there." And of course, like somebody goes and grabs it and starts shooting people. What are these things? What are these things? Preston hates House of the Dragon but likes She-Hulk. When did I hate House of the Dragon? These are these things
You
like
oh so real quick, if you don't mind, Dario Farrell, he's holding my family hostage if I don't tell
okay,
you this. He has a this is why people are saying this right here. It's the Viserys thing. Dario Farrell says Viserys doesn't say I've never imagined remarrying. He says I never imagined I would remarry. Not that he literally never thought about it. He's only saying he never believed he would. If I say, imagine it's going to rain tomorrow, that means I believe it will. There's multiple senses of the word imagine, and Preston is fixating on the wrong one, ignoring the context.
that's some
He's
cope.
where he's
That's
talking
some
about
that's some nice cope. Like
where he's talking about the period when he named Rhaenyra heir immediately after Emma's death. Yeah, I mean
yeah, yeah.
that's
It's
copium.
trying to go into law. You know, like no, don't fucking buy it.
Oh, sorry, Derek. Yeah, you tried, buddy.
No, no. There's a lot of different arguments that people were giving. Like like no, he was just really drunk, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, that's the argument I give.
okay, no, he really loved Alicent, and he just did, and or he really, I'm sorry, he really loved Emma, and he just never considered it. I was like, oh yeah, he really loved this woman. It was true love. He like sold her out, and for what, like he murdered her after like 30 seconds of like convincing, like like
Yeah,
yeah, so much love. There's just some
Erebus
bad
posted here.
lines. Your
Exactly,
mother.
Carmine. Preston is being too critical for no reason. You have to understand something. Preston has literally the entire books tattooed on his back. Like, of course he's gonna be fucking critical.
If
She-Hulk
I
is
was
not
being
that
critical
serious.
for no reason, I would have been trashing episode 4, but I'm not. Episode 3 sucks, okay? Like just can episode 3 suck? Your mother made a man of me. Really, that 11-year-old fucking girl made a man of you. Okay, man. Every single scene in episode 3, I have a serious problem with. Like it either just didn't make sense or someone says something really fucking stupid. Like just let it be fucking like let something like let me criticize something that needs to be criticized.
We should totally do an episode 3 rewatch just for the memes, just for the lulz.
Just so I can fucking bash it some more. Because every time I
Yes.
watch it, it goes down a notch.
He goes, what? One rank lower? One rating lower? Oh, sure, let's do it. I'm down.
Wasn't Emma gonna die anyway? That's what the Maester said. But no, I mean in real history, they would have been crushing the baby in order to save the mother. Um, but yeah, or he kind of in truth, Melos gives equivocates. He's like, you have this option to save one or save neither, but then he's like, we can leave it to the hand of the gods. So um Emma's like 40 in the show. Yeah, I mean, we don't know. We don't know like how old she is, but we know but he married her at 17, which is the same age he got married to her in the books. So if he was the same age, maybe she would be the same age again. But it's the whole thing about her having marriage complications is that she was too young. So um, yeah, but it's just yeah. The series is just a fucking yeah. No criticism allowed. Or even if I give like people were saying I trashed like the first 2 episodes, it's like I give like 7 out of 10s, and they're like, oh god. Episode 3 is cool. Didn't you like Viserys' pathetic killing of the stag? I thought it was a great visual storytelling compared to Rhaenyra later letting the real stag go. I thought the stag thing was fine. I thought the killing of the stag and Rhaenyra seeing the real stag was fine. I liked those 2 scenes. I have no problem with that. I mean, they probably should have had more slack on the rope, but it's a whatever. It's a siege. I thought it was fun. It made Viserys look like the pathetic piece of shit he is, which is what he is. So I did like the stag scene. I admit. Um, Preston, you should audition for one of the Game of Thrones spin-off series. I think it's a little late. I think I'm not going to be able to get into acting at this point. I have my own job. My wife has her own job. I think I don't know if they'd accept me. Um, oh, the stag was pretty heavy-handed. I suppose. I mean, it's a bit of a coincidence, but this is a heavy-handed show. A butt in the middle of the camera farting like is um
I keep forgetting that they did that, and you keep reminding me. I'm like, why do you why do you do this? Why do you do this? Stop reminding me they did this.
Preston, would you rate your wife 7 out of 10 and be surprised if she got mad at you? Um, first of all, okay, first of all, House of the Dragon does not compare in like superiority to like my wife. My wife is like way beyond good compared to like House of the Dragon. Okay, like what we're talking like. I mean, I spent many, 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 many years dating. Okay, and I came across my wife, and I was like, "Wow!" Like, nope, this one, I'm marrying this one. Like, no, no, like, no doubts, no doubts. Like, she's a 10 out of 10. Like, I had previous relationships where I was like, it's like a B+ relationship. Like, I could probably marry this person and everything would be okay. This person's a really good person. We get along okay. And I passed it up. I rolled the dice because most people don't get B+ like matches. Many people like are stuck with B-, C+ matches. Okay. I rolled the dice. I was in some relationships that were like solid B+. And I was like, and I rolled the dice and I kept going and I was lonely for many years and I met my wife and I was like, hey, so no, there's no fucking criticism. There's no 7 out of like, there's no criticism of my wife. Okay. Not like my wife has never put her butt in my face and farted. Okay. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Okay. My wife has never
What kind of
needlessly
question is
murdered
this?
6 people in a scene for no fucking reason. Okay. My wife has never said anything as stupid as I've never imagined I'd remarry. Like, come on. Come on. Ridiculous. 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 Um, so no, you can't, it's a bad analogy. Bad analogy. um, but that couldn't happen to make Viserys grow to love Emma. It's fine for him to love Emma. It's not fine for him to ridiculously claim that he's never thought about like remarrying. Like it's so stupid. Like it's just so stupid. Um, you know, like come on, it's just like the dumbest thing in the world. He's like, so what? 9.5 out of 10. Ah, funny, funny. Um, Rhaenyra saying, "Ha, nerd" at the Blackwood kid. He was a nerd. And then he fucking, of course, then he killed that Blackwood. It's probably his cousin or something because they're all there. The
I think
Blackwoods
it was
and
a
the Brackens
Bracken
are,
that he killed.
yeah, they're so intermarried. Um, it's not a stupid line. My mother has literally told me, have thought about dating if your dad died, but not remarrying. Um, First of all, like, he's fucking king. Okay, he's king. Like, political marriages. Like, even in real life, I don't believe it. Like, I understand that, like, your mom might have said this stuff. She's also, like, saying it to her kid, Like, she's not going to be like, yeah, I used to, fantasize about other guys when I masturbated. Like, no one's fucking doing that to their kid, okay? Your mom's not going to be honest with you. but like, um, but like, has she thought about it? Like, of course she has, because your mind thinks about everything. Okay, so one, like, I don't think parents are honest to their children, but like, he's also in a completely different environment. He's in like a feudalistic society where he's king. Of course, he's gonna fucking remarry. You know, um, his dad didn't remarry for the 2 years, for the fucking 2 years that he was.
Yo, why the
He was
fuck is everyone so hung up on this? Holy shit!
I
Holy
know,
shit!
man. Like, just let it be a dumb line. Like, just fucking let it be a dumb line. Um, his dad didn't remarry. Well, he was, he was 60 something at that point, and he was crazy. And, he was, his wife had only been dead for 2 years, Um, I don't know. They all acted like he was going to die because they had that console 101, even though he's only in his 60s. Like, I mean, now that you mention it and we analyze it, like, yeah, a guy in his 60s in a feudalistic society, maybe he probably should have started thinking about remarrying, but he didn't. Um, let's see. Totally came in at the wrong time. Um, Damon has talked about polygamy and taking extra wives. Why doesn't the king take extra wives? Well, because the issue brought about a war against the Faith of the Seven with Maegor the Cruel. So like, it's a touchy issue. You don't do it. You don't piss off. You don't. It's just needless uh, conflict to have with the faith. I mean, Maegor the Cruel was essentially assassinated over this issue. There was a huge war over this issue. You just don't want to like poke that bear. It's not dumb line. Preston just doesn't know basic human emotions. Okay, we put it this way. Have you ever thought of a purple elephant? Okay. Even if you
Yes.
haven't thought of a purple elephant, I'm making you all think of a purple elephant. Purple elephant, purple elephant, purple elephant, purple elephant, purple elephant. Okay. You can't help but think about it because it's been introduced. Okay. People, the thought of your mate dying and the thought of you remarrying afterwards and like the thought of your fate after your mate dies is something that everybody thinks about because your mind thinks about everything. Because we're focused, we're exposed to death and hardship and planning every moment of our lives, So everybody thinks about this shit. So to say like I don't understand basic human emotions, you do not understand basic human emotions. You are the robot if you think that a human brain like can compartmentalize and not think about what happens when your loved one dies. Like that like I would say that you have failed on human emotion to not understand that. Okay, this whole like mythical like I loved her so much I never thought of like fuck you, like you don't understand human beings or human emotion. Like it's a robot take to think that human beings don't think about these sorts of things when they're in love. No, first of all, he wasn't even in love. Okay, it was an arranged marriage and he fucking killed his wife in 30 fucking seconds of being convinced. Okay, like fuck Viserys. Okay, like so this whole like I didn't think about being remarried, stupid. It's a fucking stupid line. Jesus. Oh gosh, sorry to be hard on you, but you said I'm a fucking robot who doesn't understand human emotions. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Oh god. Bloodraven warged Samuel Blackwood in both preventing him from wooing Rhaenyra and killing Amos Bracken. Well, Bloodraven isn't born yet. But with did the three-eyed crow did it? Maybe. You're trying to say Rhaenyra was close? She was close to being convinced in the to marrying him. That would have been something. That would have been something. I mean, she'd be having an affair with Criston Cole the whole time, I guess. Because how old did he look in that, Carmine? He looked like he'd be like 10 or 12?
Yeah, that was a young boy. And by the way, shout out to I put this on Twitter. Shout out to Ryan Condal for including
Mm.
Bracken and Blackwood
Oh yeah,
rivalry in the show. He didn't have to do that, but the book readers are eating well tonight.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, look, I've never not denied that like Ryan Condal has elevated just nothing to brilliance. He's doing a fucking fantastic job. Okay, so even if I make fun of episode 3, I still think that episode 3 is better than the source material. Like, I mean, like episode 3 just had problems. Like as I praise episode 4, like episode 4 is fantastic, but come on. Um, Hear me out. High Sparrow is Dickon Manwoody. Hmm. Hmm. Let me. Um. Now people like Dickon Manwoody because he's got both Dick and Manwood in his name. Um. Uh. I mean, is he Dickon Manwoody's ancestor? Because yeah. Or are we talking about the High Sparrow in Ice and Fire? Oh, High Sparrow. Yes, yes. And for some reason, I was like High Septon. I was in my House of the Dragon um, mindset. Okay, so he comes. He comes to Dorne, and then he's never seen again. He's a second son. There's no evidence against Dickon Manwoody being the High Sparrow. I will grant you that. We don't have, I suppose, we don't know how old Dickon Manwoody is. We don't know where he's been since A Storm of Swords, since accompanying Oberyn to and being part of the entourage. Okay, all right. Dickon Manwoody is got nothing against it, so I guess he's the High Sparrow. He's in. Um. Oh, where the hell were they in Storm's End?
Oh, because Viserys arranged a tour for her to go around the Seven Kingdoms, and as I'm assuming, as she's going around, several suitors are following, and she's holding court and blah 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 blah. So,
So
I
she's been
wish
on
they kind
tour
of
for a while, right? Many months.
yes, and she had some months to go too.
Oh, and then she cut it short.
Yes,
Storm's End's kind of a weird place for her to be many months in and many months away, isn't it? Is it not?
I don't understand the purpose of her being in Storm's End, like why there specifically.
Yeah, because you'd think many months in, I could be like, okay, maybe she'd be in Old Town, or maybe she'd be in Lannisport because she like hopped around, she visited ports the whole way, you know. I mean, I suppose I could believe, okay, maybe she went north first. Let's say she went north first, but if she went north first, the Blackwoods and the Brackens would have met her at Maidenpool or Salt Pans or something, rather than Storm's End.
You know
Um,
what? That's a very good point, and the reason I say that is because I'm looking back here now. I can see. I think that's a red salmon, so that might be Mooten. I think it's Mooten. House
yeah.
Mooten's there. House Frey is there. Who else is
Huh.
here? House Frey. So we have four. House Swan is there. Okay,
House
that's
Swan makes sense.
Stormlands.
Yeah.
Uh, Crown. Who's like just pure Crown? And I think is that another Strong? No, that can't be Strong. I'll have to go back and like I'll have to ask my guy because some of these I don't recognize. But no, you're right. We have four Riverland houses there. So why isn't she at in the Riverlands at River Run? Hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty silly. Um, all right, let's make some
And to the people
arguments.
wondering,
Okay,
that
okay.
that is Storm's End at the very start because you see House Baratheon's sigil like on the walls and stuff, and that's
Yeah.
Lord Barat. I can't tell if that's Boros or who the fuck even is that. I can't tell if that's Boros
I like
Baratheon
this.
or
Saltpan's the greatest port in the realm. What should be the greatest port in the realm? That's instead a tiny port, but it should be the fucking greatest port in the realm, but or at least one of the biggest. But yeah, because it's considering it's the mouth of the trident. But what? Okay, George doesn't understand uh, doesn't understand economics. But Darkstar based or cringe. He's based. He's based because he's innocent. But okay, let's get back to like why
Bo-
she'd be there. Okay, here's my argument for
Borman Baratheon.
why they're there. This is my honeypot. Um, the first part of her tour went west, and she went like she didn't want to marry anybody in Dorne. Well, she probably considered the Dornish, so maybe she first went south and then went all the way around Old Town, went up to Casterly Rock, met with Westerlands people and everything. And then she's like, I'm going to head back and then head up the other side. And these Riverlanders were like, oh, fuck. All the other Riverlanders are going to like want to meet her at Salt Pans or Maidenpool. We're going to like cut in and go to Storm's End before she gets a look at the others. But then again, why wouldn't she they go to the Westerlands when she did that part of the tour? So, yeah, it seems really weird. Like if they wanted to cut the line, they were really eager to show themselves off um, before everybody else. They would have come to her earlier. They wouldn't have come like months into the tour. Otherwise, they would have come to the closest port. So I have no good reason why Riverlanders would be in Storm's End months into her marriage tour, months into her her suitor tour, and not later, huh? Yeah, I guess I don't have any good argument. Sorry, people.
It's just a
Um,
random decision. You're right. It should have been the Riverlands with all the Riverlords over there.
right. Um, Dark Stars cringe. Once you expect that, once you accept that Dark Star is innocent, and you kind of realize that like all of these like badass negative things are there to misdirect us, then you kind of realize that he's just like, he was a big talker, but he doesn't deserve to be blamed for murder or blamed for attempted murder. And so, you gotta like him at some point. Um, he's honest, sticks up to. I mean, he talks some serious trash to the Princess of Dorne. I mean, it's pretty base to me. So I like him. I like him. I mean, I'm also, whatever. Preston's a contrarian, so everybody hates Darkstar, so Preston's gonna like him. So, um, anybody who is peeping on Ray and Krispy Kreme? Do you know what this is about, Carmine?
Who's I have no idea
Is
the fuck
Ray
Rhaenyra and Kristen. I
oh, Rhaenyra and Ray. Okay, right. The problem is that everyone has the fucking name Ray, right? Rainey's. Okay.
was someone peeping on
Well, the
them?
camera angle definitely made it look like someone was peeping on them, but at the same time, like it also makes someone look like they're peeping behind the bed at Viserys, like looking on Emma Aaron dying as well. So, like, yes, those camera angles definitely give the feeling and impression of a peeping Tom, but at the same time, they've been using that direction the whole series. So I don't necessarily think it means anything, but I do think that they were being spied on anyway. Like, I don't think anyone was spying on them from that angle, but I do think they were being spied on.
Maybe it was just the camera angles, but I do find it weird though
Yeah,
that the White Worm is working for Otto
yeah,
secretly now. That's a
yeah.
thing.
That's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting spin on the. Yeah, we talked about
Actually,
it much earlier in the stream, but hours ago. But yeah,
well, it would make sense considering that Damon fucks off to war in the Stepstones for 3 years. Who's going to protect her? So becoming a
yeah,
spy for for Otto, Littlefinger would make sense.
The white worms, little spiders. I thought it was Alicent herself spying and pleasuring herself um, in the corner
What? Where'd that come from?
because she's so unhappy, like sexually in her relationship that you know that she'd have to get her kicks out something like hiding in the walls.
Alicent's a good girl. She wouldn't do that.
Oh, I swear I saw a shadow. I'll go back in the scene and see. Um,
That was me, actually. I was people. Okay.
um, it's a long sex scene, so
You're watching it right now?
I don't know.
It was one. It was a long
It's a
season.
long sex scene. I don't know if I can do that, but I'll keep an eye out for a shadow next time. But then again, it might be poor
Also,
cameraman.
first appearance of Moon Tea.
Hmm. You're right. You're right. Because they cut all the Moon Tea plots from they cut all the Moon Tea plots from Game of Thrones. Um,
hmm And for a minute, as Viserys was talking to, I think it was Alicent, I thought I heard some rumbling in the background. That would have been also if it rained. This is so stupid. If it rained, it would have been the first time we had rain in King's Landing, I believe. I think.
oh, I was
Pretty
about
sure.
to be like in King's Landing. Yes, because there is a scene in the Riverlands where it's raining right before.
No, no, in King's Landing. It never
Yeah,
rains in King's Landing. What the fuck?
yeah, it's
It
true.
snowed for 2 minutes and it never rained.
It's a very sunny location, King's Landing. Um, the Yeah, no Rainey's for episodes 3 and 4, which is why they had to give her all these like random sass scenes for episodes 1 and 2. Poor Rainey's. Not giving her enough screen time. Have nothing for her to do. Weird shot of Otto Hightower when Damon talked to Viserys. Was it a weird angle? I mean, they do a lot of crazy angles with their direction, which I like. Their direction is a bazillion times better than Game of Thrones direction, but like you know, makes every shot is interesting. So the Maester was lying that it was from her father, that he just said it himself, maybe, and that they were spying. It's an interesting idea, but yeah, the Moon Tea Tansy Tea thing. This, of course, Moon Tea is a huge freaking part of Game of Thrones. I mean, I'm sorry, a huge part of Ice and Fire, and they cut it. They cut both major Moon Tea plots from the series. The first being obviously Lysa's forced abortion, where she's given Tansy tea after her rape of Littlefinger, and then the the latter when Marjorie requests Moon tea probably for her cousin, and gets implicated as and we'll probably end up dying over it. I mean, let's be honest, you know. And it's weird that they cut both of them. I mean, I kind of chalked it up at the time as like, well, no one likes talking about abortion on TV shows, but House of the Dragon is willing to go places that other shows, even Game of Thrones, are not willing to go. So, um, um, Shadow's probably the production crew, probably. Lots of actual rats crawling all over the skull of uh, Big Balerion and Alicent's bed. Um, is Alicent's bed had a rat? But I think you're right though, because the implication you're saying is the rats are watching. The rats are watching, right? That's the implication, that the spies are watching if the rats are watching. Um, if we're dealing with cheese and um, cheese, my belief that cheese is Laurie Strong, but at least that cheese is watching, and that cheese is in the walls. Um, how would I rate House of the Dragon compared to the other Game of Thrones seasons? This is interesting. This is
Yo,
an interesting question.
what is up with this fucking question? I see this all the time on my comment section too. Someone was like, and this was before episode 4 came out. Someone was like,
Mm.
"Yeah, the first 3 we've gotten better than season 1 of Thrones." What? You are out of your
No,
fucking
I wouldn't
mind.
say that. I wouldn't say
No.
that. I mean, I would say that so far, and again, we haven't seen the whole season. We haven't seen the whole season because again, if I had to judge season 4 by just like the first 4 episodes, season 4 would be really high, right? You know, because then season 4 kind of goes downhill after Oberyn dies and after the Purple Wedding. There's not really much for people to do, so the season kind of goes downhill. But I mean, based on what we've seen so far, I think it's probably better than certainly better than seasons 5, 6, 7, and 8, and probably better than season 4. But I don't know yet. It's hard to judge. I do not think it's as good as season 1 of Game of Thrones, but I'd say
I
that
think it's a disservice to rate it
yeah,
before it's out completely.
it's true. It's true because we also have to see how it all comes together, right? Because you can't just like
Mm.
one of the big problems with a lot of the Game of Thrones seasons is they introduced a bunch of plot threads and they went nowhere. And I remember every season people being like, "Just chill, man. It's all going someplace. Chill. It's all going someplace." And then, yeah, it didn't go anyplace. So yeah, you can't really judge. You can't really judge until the whole season's over. But um, the what do you think of Alicent's reaction to hearing about her and Daemon? Frustration that Rhaenyra seemingly gets to do whatever she wants, or mad that she never got to Rhaenyra's virtue herself? I think there's definitely a lot of the former. Um, I think that there's a lot of there's a lot of I think they're building in an Alicent jealous of Rhaenyra situation. Like you get to I played by the rules. Um, while you went outside, you colored outside the lines or whatever to mix my metaphors. I think that's a big part of it, and that dichotomy of women's agency in Game of Thrones is like a very important thing that we talk about. Like, there's characters like Catelyn, and there's characters like Sansa, and there's who play within the rules of the game, and then there's Cersei who breaks the rules and or bends the rules and breaks the rules secretly, and then there is Asha who is outside of the rules of the game. Like, we're not fucking playing this. Or Arya, we're not fucking even playing. We're not even playing this game. Okay. And so Rhaenyra is going to be more like the Asha Arya character, like just breaking the rules. While Alicent she's playing the game. She's making all of her moves within the power allotted to her as a woman, and she's playing the game as best she can. And so yeah, I think there's a lot of jealousy that they're going to build in there. Now, on the love aspect between Rhaenyra and Alicent, so in that first episode, we got that hint that maybe Rhaenyra was the one in love with Alicent, and that kind of went away. And now we're getting these hints that like Alicent is the one that's not happy. Maybe she's not happy because she's one, like Viserys is an old gross guy, but maybe she's not happy because he's that she's actually homosexual. But at the same time, we kind of saw Alicent lust a little bit after Criston Cole or something, or maybe she has a thing for Daemon. I don't know. But I definitely think the jealousy there is. But I don't. even though I think they might have introduced the seed of possible lesbian affection between Rhaenyra and Alicent, they haven't done anything with it since the pilot. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll see much more of it. I don't know. Carmine, you have any ideas on this? Carmine died. Um, her canopy of her bed had a rat, and maesters are all over. The rats have eyes and ears. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, rat being a metaphor for maester. Obviously, Lady Dustin calls maesters the gray rats. Um, yeah, we were thinking about the rat being a metaphor for cheese, but it's the gray rats being a metaphor for maesters fits as well. So yeah, they definitely need more cats. That's true. That's true. Where's Sir Pounce when we need him? Yeah, Game of Thrones 1 to 3 is master quality. So we'll see where House of the Dragon ranks. Yeah, this one had a lot of fan service, but we'll see about this. Um, Especially with the houses of the Bracken and the Blackwood and stuff. The gray rat thing is very subtle. Like I'd be very surprised if that's what they meant. Like I'm welcome. I understand that like fiction takes a life of its own. So like if it turns out that the Maesters were spying on them and the rats were there, we can retroactively make that foreshadowing, even if the writers didn't intend it. Um, if the writers caught it and are that tuned into the fan community about the gray rats and Lady Dustin's criticism, bravo, bravo. Which I think definitely some people, I think, because like I say, the last episode I did praise their line about Viserys wanting an army, married Aaron for the army to rival the North. Like I was very impressed with their reading of Fire and Blood with that. So if they're reading it that carefully, maybe they'd catch Grey Rat. But do you think we'll get Laenor gay sex scene? I think so. I think it's just an opportunity. Like, yeah,
Lane. Oh, by the way, you're just talking about Rhaenyra and Alicent.
yeah.
This is weird. So it kind of annoys me. There was a deleted scene for episode 3 where they have an argument.
Hmm.
And in this episode, they're like besties again. But the last
Yeah,
episode, that never got patched up. That was weird. There's a scene missing.
you're right. You're right. Like they never really had a reconciliation, and yet all of a sudden they're reconciled. They
Hmm.
should have. I don't know if they meant for the scene that they had to be a reconciliation, but you're right that they could have done a better job um, reconciling Rhaenyra and Alicent somehow. You know, um, Kristen Cole pulled out. No moon tea needed. Dornish don't pull out.
Listen to him,
No,
chat. He's read the books 1,000 times. He has it tattooed on his
it's
back.
not.
He
It's
knows
not the
exactly.
Dornish way. They hold on. They hold on tight. Um.
Oh, yo, by the way, IGN, someone just sent me this. IGN just gave it a 7 out of 10. And one of the main
Oh.
complaints is that it needs more action. I don't think, I was discussing this with you. I don't think we're going to get any like major action scenes, like big battles. I think that's done for the season.
Until if they end with the fight over Storm's End, I would say like I think they're gonna have the violence quotient, right? Like they're gonna, so this episode they decided to go sex, right? So we had all the brothel scenes and people fucking in alleys and Rhaenyra. So they went heavy sex on this one because last episode was heavy violence. And then was episode 2, what did they have in episode 2? They have sex or violence.
It was the Targaryen dating simulator.
Oh right. I
Half
guess
of
they
it,
didn't really have either, right?
half of it was the dating sim. The other half was Daemon throwing a tantrum.
I guess they did. I mean, they bookended it with the stepstones, so I guess they had a little violence. And then episode 1 was obviously bonkers, had everything, right? So I think they're gonna do. There seems to be some big like personal fights in the next things with people dying, people's eyes being gouged out. Kristen Cole has to fight Harwin Strong, that kind of stuff. So there's going to be some personal violence, and then maybe the battle over Storm's
At the
End for
wedding,
the end.
at, at the fucking wedding, like it all goes down at the wedding. Like the
Yeah,
Lannisters are fighting someone. Harwin Strong is knocking someone the fuck out. Christian Cole is
right. Rather than
nearly
like
killing
on the
someone.
tourney field that like accompanied these events, right? So like
Well,
there was a tourney at Rhaenyra's wedding where the violence happened that broke Harwin Strong's like collarbone and I forget when Joffrey Lonmouth did he die at that one too? It was around that time.
I actually don't. I feel like it was later after Rhaenyra's wedding. I feel like that's what it was because they are switching things around. So you could be
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
but no, Harwin Strong is punching some Valerian household guard. You can tell it's a household guard because he has the clamshell helmet. That's their guard.
Um, no, it was he kills Kristen Cole kills Laenor at least in Fire and Blood. He both breaks Harwin Strong's collarbone and he kills
Joffrey Lama.
Joffrey in the same tourney. Yeah. I mean, well, Joffrey dies 6 days later, but nonetheless, he goes into a coma for 6 days and then dies, which makes it sound like he got Khal Drogo'd.
Yeah. And someone also said in your comment, if we're gonna get Rhea Royce in the next episode, yes, I believe so. Because in the preview we can see Damon in it looks like the Bloody Gate. He's near the Bloody Gate.
Oh, really? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so are they gonna have him kill her, plan her death? Which is
I'm wondering if they're gonna have him because I just looked it up. Harwin Strong, we don't know how he really dies. Some say it's the curse of Harrenhal that started the fire,
hmm,
or some say it was Daemon who did it. I wonder if we're gonna have Daemon be the one that does it because he has to. He has to be the
right,
guy.
or Laris, right? It's either an accident or Laris or Damon, right? Or no, they also put forward Corlys as a suspect
Oh, hmm,
because to punish Harwin for cuckolding his son.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah. There the I mean, will Damon be responsible for Rhea Bryce's like death? I don't know. I mean, it seems like it.
She
In
didn't she die
Fire and
in
Blood, she dies. She just dies in a hawking accident.
right? Well, she has an arrow. That's her falling off the horse. You blink and you'll miss it. But she has like a bow and arrow or a bow. As she's
Oh.
falling, the horse falls on top of her. So
Hmm.
I don't like. I'm gonna be an asshole when I say this, but Rhea Royce is the actress they got for her is incredibly good looking. I would argue she's better looking than Millie Alcock, personally speaking. Rachel
Um,
Redford,
Rachel Redford.
very beautiful, very beautiful. Holy shit, very beautiful. Her IMDb page, very good looking.
I see. I see. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny considering that he like made these jokes about everyone in the Vale being ugly, and yet, yeah, she's she's a supermodel.
Wait, Tazi, or Tozy, whatever your name is, he says Carmine, the fire will regain trailer. They show Harwin being killed in a fire. Link that to me. I want to see that. Where?
Hmm. I mean, that's how he dies in Fire and Blood, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm surprised they put it in the fucking trailer though. By the way, you guys know me. I like blondes, but this Rachel Redford woman, that is not a blonde, and I'm okay with this. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm gonna follow her on Twitter, and I'm going to make a comment somewhere. That's how it starts, baby.
I know. No one can beat the beauty of Jamie Lannister. It's true. Book Jamie Lannister is very beautiful. It's like the second most beautiful woman in the world. All right. Well, we've done three. This is one more thing here on like how Gwendolyn Christie and Peter Dinklage are like very attractive. Yes, of course like there's their book characters are insanely ugly, and yet they got these very good looking actors to play them. But
What did comic booker 19 called Peter Dinklage? The Brad Pitt
the
of
Brad Pitt of
dwarves?
dwarves. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I've been on here 3 hours, and so my voice is gone. But thank you all for joining me here. I know it's late in America for a lot of you, so you all stayed on. Oh, Phil joined at the last moment. Where were you 3 hours ago, Phil? we missed you, man. We missed you. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.